Chapter 1998. Wait. Zhang Duopan was even more suspicious. Who was this person? They actually knew that he wanted to get first place in the freshman party? However, thinking about it carefully, this matter shouldn't be a secret. Bai Weitua had already posted on the campus forum. If it was a student of Donghai Industry University, they would naturally know about it. Therefore, after Zhang Duopan figured it out, he subconsciously thought that it was a student from Donghai Industry University who got his phone number and wanted to scam some money from him. However, he was too interested in what the other party had to say, so he didn't hang up the phone. Classmate Zhang, why did you change your mind? Do you want to hear me out? The man with the croaky voice laughed and asked, You have a way for me to get first place? How much money do you want? Zhang Duopan asked. If I wanted money, I would have called you directly. Why would I call you anonymously? The man with the croaky voice smiled faintly. I don't want money. I just think you should get first place. I don't want money. Then why are you helping me? Are you that kind? Zhang Duopan secretly asked in his heart. To tell you the truth, I also hate that Lin Yi. I don't want Lin Yi's class to get the award. Do you understand now? The man with the croaky voice didn't expect Zhang Duopan to not believe his words, and said helplessly, Oh, so you are also Lin Yi's enemy. That's good. Zhang Duopan listened to the man's words and let out a sigh of relief. Then tell me your plan. It's simple. If Su Shirhan messes up during her performance, even if she's a superstar, the school's student council won't give them first place. Even if they give them second or third place as a consolation, it's already good enough. But first place is definitely out of the question. That is obviously biased. Even if the students don't agree, the school leaders won't agree. The man with the croaky voice said in one breath. What? You mean you want me to go cause trouble? Zhang Duopan roughly understood what the other party was trying to say. But if I go to cause trouble and get discovered by the school, wouldn't they be setting me up? When we find out the reason, even if they messed up, our class's program will also be finished, right? Don't worry. The man with the croaky voice said. I have my own plan. Otherwise I wouldn't be calling you. My plan will allow you to destroy Su Shirhan's performance without any responsibility, and the school won't find any trouble for you. Really? Zhang Duopan quickly asked. Then tell me, what should I do? Very simple. In the middle of Su Shirhan's performance, you need someone, preferably a girl, wearing a black windbreaker with messy hair. Splash some red paint or ink on the windbreaker to pretend to be blood, and then slowly walk past Su Shirhan. The man with the croaky voice said. What kind of move was this? Could it be that Su Shirhan was afraid? Zhang Duopan was dazed. He didn't think there was anything special about the man's idea. Forget it if you don't believe me. Pretend I didn't say anything. The man with the croaky voice wasn't happy that Zhang Duopan was still suspicious. It's not that I don't believe you, but you have to tell me why? Zhang Duopan smiled bitterly. There's no why, I can't tell you the reason. The man with the croaky voice said. You just need to know that this will affect Su Shirhan. Okay, what if the school asks? Zhang Duopan was still worried. Are you stupid? If they ask, can't you tell the girl to say that it's a costume? The man with the croaky voice said impatiently. That's right. Zhang Duopan nodded. This was a good idea. This way, even if it didn't work, he wouldn't have to take any responsibility. He could explain that it was a costume, and even if it didn't work, he wouldn't lose anything. Having a chance was better than having no chance at all. Thinking up to here, Zhang Duopan said. Okay, thank you, I will do it. If that's the case, then I won't say any more. The man with the croaky voice said. Then if it's done, how do I repay you? Zhang Duopan asked. No need. The man with the croaky voice said, and hung up the phone. That's strange. Could it be that he's Lin Yi's enemy? Zhang Duopan looked at the phone and shook his head strangely. He really didn't know why the man did this. It was completely one-sided to help him. What's wrong, Zhang bro? Fan Ganha quickly asked. It's like this, just now a man with the croaky voice called me, and said that he can help us get first place in the freshman party. Beat Su Shirhan. Zhang Duopan said and repeated the man's words to Fan Ganha. This is a good thing, Zhang bro. Fan Ganha listened and said. It doesn't matter if it's useful or not. We won't lose anything by trying. I think so too. Then we have to hurry up. It's almost the freshman party. There's still a day tomorrow, so we have to get it done at night. Zhang Duopan said. Ganha, I'll leave this to you. Can you handle it? Don't worry, Zhang bro. I have a sister in another school. I'll ask her to come tomorrow night. No one knows her yet. No one will know. Fan Ganha nodded. Good. If what that man with the croaky voice said is true, then this is our chance. Zhang Duopan nodded. After a day of rehearsal, the medical major was quite familiar with it. They were full of confidence and prepared to participate in the freshman party. Does anyone have the confidence to get first place? After the last rehearsal, Su Shirhan waved her fist at everyone and asked. Yes. The answer was loud. With Su Shirhan participating, if they didn't get first place, then they might as well buy a piece of tofu and kill themselves. Although you coiling tiger, yellow hair, and purple hair weren't interested in performing on stage, this was more or less Boss Bai's honor. Boss Bai would be happy if they got first place, so you coiling tiger didn't dare to cause trouble. At night, the entrance of the school hall was decorated with lanterns and streamers. It was crowded with people. There were stalls set up by the student union everywhere. There were light sticks, drinks, snacks, and so on. Obviously, the student union was planning to earn some money from this event. Although the evening party was called the freshman party, sophomores, juniors, seniors, and even graduate students came to participate. Especially those student couples, who arrived early in the auditorium, bought glow sticks and snacks, and took a good seat, ready to spend a romantic night. Chapter 1999. The freshman gala was like an art festival or sports day in a university. It was one of the most important activities in the university, and it was also the time for freshmen to show off their talents. Many handsome men and beautiful women among the freshmen hoped to find the other half of their lives through the stage of the freshman party. This was a precedent in previous years. Many men and women who liked each other would become friends after the freshman party. Therefore, everyone's enthusiasm for the freshman party was very high. Who said that university students didn't want to participate in group activities? That was because there was a lack of handsome guys and pretty girls. With this, why wouldn't they fight to see them? Of course, the pretty girls this year were Su Shirhan and Cheng Yi, the two big stars. With the support of celebrities, there would naturally be a lot of people attending. So this year's freshman gala was unprecedentedly popular. The glow sticks, drinks, and snacks that the student council had brought in were starting to run out. There was still 1 or 2 hours before the performance started, but everything was already sold out. Obviously, it was because of Su Shirhan and Cheng Yi's celebrity effect. This year's performance had 2 celebrities supporting them, so the audience suddenly increased. But luckily, the school's auditorium was big enough. Even if all the teachers and students were here, there would still be enough seats. There were also seats on the 2nd and 3rd floor. But the good seats were already taken by the students who had arrived earlier. Of course, the first few rows were for freshmen. Older students weren't allowed to sit there. Even if they wanted to fight for a seat, they could only fight for the seats at the back. The student council realized that something was wrong, so they hurriedly brought in a large amount of glow sticks and snacks from the wholesale market. There were even some small banners with Su Shirhan and Cheng Yi's names. They were really popular among the students. In the past freshman gala, it was already good enough if the auditorium was half full. But this year, it was practically full. Many students who couldn't find a seat in the front row were asking, "Students, is there anyone here?" "There's already someone here, Sai." The members of the student union, who were in charge of maintaining discipline in the auditorium, were sweating profusely from exhaustion. They had no choice but to urgently send more people to maintain order. The members of the school's television and radio stations had also chosen their positions long ago, ready to record the most popular freshman party in the past decade. At 6 at night, the annual freshman gala officially began. After the school leaders took their seats in the front row, the lights in the auditorium gradually went out. The male and female hosts in black suits and red evening gowns walked to the front of the stage behind the slowly rising curtain. The two hosts could be considered the prettiest girls in the school, and while they weren't at the top, they weren't as famous as Mengyao, Yushu or Xinyan, who had their names on the school's BBS list the moment they entered the school. The two's elegance and handsomeness still won them a round of applause and cheers. However, both of them were second-year members of the student council, so most of the cheers were from the older students. The freshmen were only moved. "Dear leaders, teachers, students, good evening." The male host bowed and said, "I am the host, Lai Yiming." Lai Yiming's words caused another burst of screams from the audience. It seemed that Lai Yiming was also a celebrity in the university. "I'm the host, Su Xiaoxiao." The female host followed the male host and bowed. "May everyone have an unforgettable and enjoyable night. The 39th freshman party of Donghai Industry University begins now," Lai Yiming and Su Xiaoxiao announced together. Another round of applause sounded from the audience. The program of the gala officially began, and the first to go on stage was a group dance brought by the freshmen from the English department. Girls from the English department made up the majority of the students in the university, and the dancers were all beauties. As soon as they went on stage, there was a burst of cheers and screams from the audience. Along with the loud music, the spotlights flashed, and the students in the audience couldn't help but wave the glow sticks in their hands. After the English department dance, it was a boy from the computer science department who sang, "The Brother Who Slept on My Upper Bunk." This song had a strong campus vibe, and when the boy's melancholy and hoarse voice sounded, it completely won over the students in the audience. "The brother who slept on my upper bunk. You are silent. The questions you once asked me, now no one asks." Although there were very few bunk beds in the dorms, this song was about the friendship between dorm mates. Therefore, this song resonated with many students who had just moved into the dorm. The male student's voice wasn't very good, but the song he chose was very good. It resonated with all the students present. Even the freshmen, the seniors, and especially the seniors who were about to graduate, started singing along with him. Many people's eyes were already brimming with tears as they listened to the singing. This was a party to welcome the freshmen, but wasn't it also the last party for the seniors? Therefore, many people were filled with emotion. This song could be said to be a success. At the very least, it wouldn't make it out of the top 10. The first two programs could be said to be a good start. They were both very good, and they received good responses. However, the third program, which was supposed to be the finale, had a problem. The third program was a piano solo by a girl from the chemistry department. This girl was also a professional piano player with a grade 10 certificate. However, because it was her first time performing on such a big stage, she was probably a bit nervous. She played a few notes wrongly, and this caused the program to be ruined. Halfway through, the girl became more and more nervous. She suddenly dropped the piano and ran off the stage in tears. This immediately made the atmosphere of the scene awkward. According to the program's schedule, the girl's piano solo would only end in about 10 minutes. This suddenly messed up the program's schedule a bit. The male and female hosts quickly ran up to the stage to save the situation and said some comforting and encouraging words. The fourth program was a medical program. Fortunately, everyone had rehearsed well, so it didn't matter if they went on stage early. After some simple preparation, the curtain opened again. The props were already set up, and everyone was in position. Under the cheerful music, the program began. Story of Youth was about life in school. It sang about the beautiful university life. There was love, friendship, and the nervous rush before exams. The theme of the whole song was the epitome of university life. Therefore, when Su Shirhan appeared, the atmosphere of the freshman party was pushed to a new level. Chapter 2000. At the same time, with Su Shirhan's appearance, the awkwardness caused by the piano solo was instantly dispelled, and the party became lively again. Su Shirhan, Su Shirhan, Su Shirhan, Su Shirhan, I love you. The light sticks and banners were all waving in the air, and Su Shirhan's voice was like the sound of nature, instantly conquering the students in the arena. The previous shouts stopped in an instant, and everyone was immersed in Su Shirhan's voice without blinking. A few extras from the medical major also played their role. making the students feel like they were watching a live music video. It was very exciting. Lin Yi and Wang Xinyan sat quietly on the stage, acting as ordinary students. The effect was achieved, and Lin Yi was only there to join in the fun. One had to say this girl Su Shihan was quite pretty. It was the first time Lin Yi saw Su Shihan in a performance up close. No wonder so many people liked her. However, at the same time, a black figure was quietly approaching the bottom of the stage. This person was Fan Ganha's sister, from another university, here to help cause trouble. At this moment, she was wearing a tattered black windbreaker, and her hair was disheveled, covering her face. Her body was covered in red marks, and she was dripping with blood, which was quite a scary sight. Student Yu, what happened to you? One of the student union's people in charge of order saw Fan Ganha's sister, and jumped in shock. Oh, senior, this is the performance uniform. Our program is about to start. Fan Ganha's sister said carefully. Oh, so it's the performance uniform. You scared me. I thought you got robbed. The member of the student union felt relieved. He waved his hand and said, then hurry up and get ready. Don't delay. Okay, senior. Fan Ganha's sister nodded, and lowered her body as she walked down the stage. However, when she reached the center of the stage where Su Shihan was, she suddenly stood up. He stood not far from Su Shihan, allowing her to see what was going on. Su Shihan was so engrossed in singing that it was impossible for her not to notice a person popping up in front of her. But when her eyes landed on Fan Ganha's sister, she suddenly shivered, and a trace of panic and fear flashed through her eyes. In an instant, Su Shihan felt the world spinning around her. Her head started to hurt again. This scene once again made her remember some things, some painful memories from her childhood. Some things that she didn't want to remember. Su Shihan's voice started to tremble, and her face turned pale. Ha 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 ha. It's indeed powerful and effective. Zhang Duopan was watching the stage with his binoculars. When Fan Ganha's sister came out, Su Shihan's face changed. This made Zhang Duopan slap his thigh in excitement. That croaky voice really didn't lie to us. Su Shihan is dead this time. That's great. Fan Ganha also breathed a sigh of relief. As for Fan Ganha's sister, seeing that she had achieved her goal, she quickly left. If she stayed for too long, she might get caught, and that wouldn't be fun. What Su Shihan could see, Lin Yi and the others could naturally see as well. At first, everyone was wondering what that girl with red hair was doing. But when Lin Yi saw the change in Su Shihan's face, he was shocked. Su Shihan's headache this time was much worse than usual. Usually it would suddenly happen, but it wasn't this serious. On the stage, Su Shihan couldn't stop to take the painkiller, and she didn't bring it on the stage. Although it was a headache, Su Shihan still tried her best to persevere. This was what she promised Lin Yi, and she didn't want to mess it up because of her headache. So, although Su Shihan's head was full of sweat, she still tried her best to persevere. Of course, under the stage, other than Zhang Duopan who was watching with binoculars, most people who didn't know Su Shihan didn't notice anything wrong. Even if Su Shihan's voice changed at that moment, everyone thought that Su Shihan was too excited during the live performance, and so her voice changed occasionally. It wasn't a problem at all. However, Meng Yao and Yushu, who knew Su Shihan well, could sense that something was wrong. Yao Yao sis, Shihan sis seems to have a problem. Yushu observed more carefully. Don't tell me your headache is acting up again? This is troublesome. Meng Yao looked at Su Shihan worriedly. Then what should we do? Yushu asked. I don't know. Let's see if Lin Yi can solve it. Meng Yao said. Lin Yi frowned slightly. The performance was only half done, and the music video was an extended version, so it was more than 10 minutes. There were still 7 to 8 minutes left before it ended, and Su Shihan obviously couldn't last that long. So, Lin Yi stood up without hesitation and walked towards Su Shihan. The song that Su Shihan was singing was about the beautiful love in university, the expectation of a prince on a white horse. Lin Yi's cool figure suddenly appeared in front of Su Shihan, as if he was the prince on a white horse in Su Shihan's song, descending from the sky. Su Shihan was a little surprised at Lin Yi's appearance. This wasn't a rehearsed scene, but after a moment, Su Shihan understood Lin Yi's intention. Lin Yi must have seen her situation, and was ready to help. As expected, Lin Yi reached out his hand and made a pleased gesture to Su Shirhan. If it was before yesterday, Su Shirhan would definitely not have any intimate actions with Lin Yi on the stage, because before yesterday, Su Shirhan only saw Lin Yi as a good friend, a savior. But now, although Lin Yi was still her good friend and savior, the two saviors were completely different. Treating a headache and saving a life were two different concepts. Su Shirhan couldn't help but think of Lin Yi's tall figure when she was singing about her love and expectation. Now that Lin Yi reached out his hand, Su Shirhan naturally wouldn't reject. Maybe he couldn't be her boyfriend, but he must be the one sent by the heavens. After meeting him, not only did he treat her headache, but he also saved her time and time again. It was impossible for Su Shirhan not to have a good impression of Dreamy Chapter 2013 Freshman Party, Part 2. So, Su Shirhan indulged herself once on the stage. Of course, it was also a suitable excuse to treat her headache. Lin Yi gently held Su Shirhan's hand, and this made the students in the audience go wild again. They didn't think that Su Shirhan would actually hold hands with a guy on the stage. This was too shocking. Although no one believed that the two of them had any relationship, it was still a big breakthrough for Su Shirhan. Hence, the audience started to scream, "Ow ow." After holding Su Shirhan's hand, Lin Yi gently pulled Su Shirhan into his arms. And at this moment, Lin Yi quickly pressed on a few of Su Shirhan's acupuncture points. Waves of comfortable feeling came from Lin Yi's hands, and it made Su Shirhan feel relaxed. "Yarao sis, do you think Shirhan sis is pretending to have a headache to seduce Shield Bro?" Yushu used her suspicious spirit. She seemed to like Shield Bro a little yesterday. "It can't be right." Mengyao frowned and said, "Shirhan sis shouldn't be that kind of person. It should be true this time. Wasn't there a black-shirt man wandering around the stage? Is it because of the black-shirt man that made Shirhan sis's headache act up? It's also possible. Wow, they're actually hugging each other." Yushu pointed at the stage and exclaimed, "Ah." Mengyao saw that Lin Yi and Su Shirhan were hugging each other, and she was a little suspicious. Su Shirhan had never had a scandal before, and it was even more impossible for her to be so close to a man, and this time. There must be something going on. We must ask them tonight," Yushu said. Mengyao didn't say anything, but she was also a little suspicious. Lin Yi cured Su Shirhan's headache, and Su Shirhan just sang the lyrics of love. At this time, it was time to prepare for the final exam. So Lin Yi also returned to the previous seat and sat down. This impromptu performance was thought by the students below the stage to be rehearsed in advance. They all cheered excitedly, wishing that the performing boys on the stage were them. Of course, the students on the stage were also very curious. What was Lin Yi and Su Shirhan performing? This didn't seem to be rehearsed, right? But it wasn't convenient to ask on the stage, so they could only be confused for now. Finally, the song ended, and the curtain slowly closed. The performance was over, and Su Shirhan also breathed a sigh of relief. This performance was considered to have ended without any mishaps. Net. Lin Bro, just now you and Su Shirhan. After getting off the stage, Bai Weitua couldn't wait to ask in the preparation room backstage. Because Su Shirhan, Wang Xingyan, and Han Jingjing had their own dressing room, Bai Weitua didn't have to worry. "It's nothing." Su Shirhan was a little uncomfortable just now, so I treated her. Lin Yi said simply, "You guys didn't see it?" "Ah, it seems like something is wrong." Bai Weitua remembered the situation after hearing Lin Yi's reminder. Su Shirhan really didn't seem to be right, so Lin Yi went to treat her. "Is that so? I thought you had an affair with the big star," Zhao Xingji said disappointedly. "What affair? Boss and Wang Xinyan are a couple. Why would he flirt with Big Ming in front of sis-in-law? What's with your eyes?" Song Xiaodao believed Lin Yi's words. As for the other students in the class, because they weren't familiar with Lin Yi, and after hearing the truth from Lin Yi, they naturally weren't curious anymore. They all changed their clothes and prepared to watch other professional performances. Back to their seats. Wang Xinyan was still sitting next to Lin Yi, and Han Jingjing was sitting on the other side of Wang Xinyan. Wang Xinyan didn't ask about what happened before, only quietly watching the performance, as if she didn't see Su Shirhan. and Lin Yi hugging each other. Han Jingjing, on the other hand, was even worse. The others were watching the performance, but she was playing with her tablet. It was fine if she was playing games, but when Lin Yi glanced at it, it wasn't. On Han Jingjing's screen, there were a lot of formulas and data that Lin Yi couldn't understand. He didn't know what she was writing. Zhang Duopan was furious. He was about to succeed, but in the end, Lin Yi hugged Su Shirhan, and everything was solved. Su Shirhan seemed to have returned to normal. Although Zhang Duopan didn't know how Lin Yi did it, he hated Lin Yi to the bone for ruining his plan. He wanted to kill Lin Yi. Originally, if Su Shirhan made a mistake, the first place would definitely be Qing Yi's. But now Qing Yi had to settle for second place. Especially when he heard the praises from the other students. Zhang Duopan was even more annoyed. It's so beautiful. So university life is so beautiful. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it now. I also hope that a Prince Charming will fall from the sky. I thought university life was boring, but now it seems like it's just the beginning. I'm so envious. So nostalgic, all of this we've experienced it before. A fourth-year student also sighed. And these voices were undoubtedly affirmation for the medical program. Zhang Duopan's face was extremely ugly. Fuck, can you guys be quiet for a second? Good my ass. Fan Ganha saw Zhang Duopan's face was not good, so he stood up and said angrily to the students around him. Who do you think you are? Do you think I won't cut your head off and hang it on a telephone pole? Although Li Biaohan hated Lin Yi, he was Su Shirhan's fan. Hearing Fan Ganha arguing in front of him, he was immediately annoyed. Fan Ganha had heard about the few ruthless people in the school. Seeing it was Li Biaohan, he was so scared that he didn't even dare to fart, and quickly sat back down. Forget it, it's our turn soon, go get ready. Zhang Duopan said with a gloomy face. He was still able to keep his composure. Although the plan failed, his class's program had to go all out. Zhang Duopan and Fan Ganha stood up and walked to the backstage preparation room. Since he already found an excuse to lose, it didn't matter if he didn't succeed this time. Meiwa, by Weitua's performance was very successful. Chai Xiaoling giggled while eating chips and said to Meiwa, "This time, Zhang Duopan will definitely lose. Eat your chips, Zhao Xingji bought these for you, right? That foodie. Be careful, he'll turn you into a big fat girl." Meiwa said angrily. Chapter 2001. She was a little annoyed. She knew Zhang Duopan's personality too well. If he said that he would give up on her after losing this time, then the sun would rise from the west. At that time, Zhang Duopan would have to find an excuse to make Meiwa helpless. "No, Zhao Xingji said that I'm too skinny, hehe," Xiaoling said. "Meiwa sis, why don't you eat some too? Why aren't you happy? Could it be that the person you like is Zhang Duopan?" "You eat, I'm not eating." Meiwa waved her hand. "I'm worried that Zhang Duopan won't let this go. He might suggest other competitions, and then there'll be no end to it. Sigh. Beauties have their own troubles. Us girls who aren't that outstanding don't have much to worry about. Only Zhao Xingji has no choice." Xiaoling shrugged. "He's good to you, cherish him." Meiwa said. It was Zhang Duopan's class's turn to perform. Although Cheng Yi participated and successfully stirred up the enthusiasm of the students, Cheng Yi's song was a level lower than Su Shirhan's. Her song was a dance type. It was nice to listen to, but it didn't have the charm of university life. Obviously, even if she wasn't as famous as Su Shirhan, she wouldn't be able to be ranked higher than Su Shirhan. But even so, the show was still considered very successful and received a lot of praise. "Lin bro, this time will definitely be number one. Zhang Duopan's program is not bad, but it's still lacking compared to us." Bai Weitua said excitedly. "Ha, Lin Yi thought, it was just luck that we won. If he wasn't on the stage, then this program would definitely be a mess. But who was it that knew Su Shirhan's secret, and even knew how to cause her headache? Could it be Zhang Duopan? But how did Zhang Duopan know? What Lin Yi was sure of was that the woman in the black windbreaker with red paint all over her body was the culprit behind Su Shirhan's headache. But this was a secret that even a doctor like Lin Yi didn't know. How did Zhang Duopan know about it? I'm afraid these things are all secrets in the entertainment industry, right? Big brother Lin, I'm going to invite Meiwa and her roommates to dinner tonight. Why don't you join us? Bai Weitua invited. Is this also our celebration feast? I'm afraid I can't tonight. Su Shirhan was invited by me. It's not right if I don't treat her to dinner. Lenny said. She'll probably leave tomorrow. Lenny said. Big brother Lin, I have a favor to ask of you. Bai Weitua asked shamelessly. What's the matter? Lenny asked. Meiwa is Su Shirhan's fan. Before, when we rehearse, we always lock the door, not letting people from other classes to disturb us. And as the class monitor, I can't open the back door to let Himeiwa in. So until now, Himeiwa hasn't met Su Shirhan face to face. Bai Weitua said. So can you bring Su Shirhan to dinner tonight? It's my treat. I'll ask. Lenny looked at Bai Weitua's expectant face and didn't reject. But if that's the case, we don't need too many people. Just our roommates and Xinyan's roommates. Maybe Mengyao and Yushu will come too. That's great. Bai Weitua said. Don't worry, there won't be too many people. I'll text Meiwa now. Don't. Wait, let me ask Su Shirhan first. Lenny waved his hand and interrupted Bai Weitua's action. That's fine. Bai Weitua just remembered that Su Shirhan hadn't agreed yet. If he told Himeiwa first, and she didn't come in the end, it would be a big loss of face. Lenny called Su Shirhan. At this moment, Su Shirhan should be accompanied by Feng Sanhuang, resting in the lounge backstage with Changyi. After all, these two stars were the school's VIPs. It wasn't strange for them to have their own lounge. Lenny, Su Shirhan picked up the phone quickly. Han, are you free tonight? Let's go for dinner? Lenny asked. Dinner tonight? Of course, no problem. Just the two of us. Su Shirhan's heart suddenly jumped. She was looking forward to it. Also Bai Weitua's roommates and Xinyan's roommates. Lenny said, Yao Yao and Shu might come. Oh, Su Shirhan was slightly disappointed, but her face was still relaxed. Sure. Shiji, is Lenny treating us to dinner? Chengyi came over and asked. Yeah. Alright, are you coming? Su Shirhan nodded. Of course. Don't say that Hero Lin is treating us to dinner. Even if he didn't, I would still treat him to thank him for saving my life yesterday. Changyi said. That's great. Su Shirhan said to Linny. Linny, E is going too. Okay, let's go together. Linny didn't mind having one more person. After hanging up the phone, Su Shirhan looked at Changyi meaningfully. I say, E, this isn't like you. Usually, when people treat you to dinner, you don't go. Even if Zhang Duopan's father and you are working together, he invited you to dinner, but you didn't go? Isn't it different? Hero Lin risked his life to protect us yesterday. Since he's treating, of course I have to go. Changyi said matter-of-factly. Of course? Su Shirhan frowned and looked at Changyi mischievously. Don't tell me you're moved? You saw Lin so handsome yesterday, and you fell in love at first sight? So what? Changyi didn't care. Since ancient times, beauties have always loved heroes. Hansis, aren't you moved? I just think that Lin is a real man. If I can be his woman, I'll feel so safe. Are you for real? Su Shirhan's eyes widened. Of course it's fake. Haha. Changyi giggled. I do admire him, but I've never thought about getting a boyfriend. I just debuted, and I've always been walking the innocent route. If I get a boyfriend now, I'm afraid it'll have a big impact. But Hansis, you should get a boyfriend now. Why don't you date Linny for a bit? And when you're done playing, give him to me. Me? Ahem. Su Shirhan choked on Changyi's words. Playing what? What the hell are you playing? I'm not joking. Hansis, are you hiding something? Changyi smiled at Su Shirhan. What are you nervous about? Chapter 2002. It's not that I'm nervous, it's just that you shouldn't say things like that. It'll be bad if there's a misunderstanding, Su Shirhan said. After getting the news that Su Shirhan was going, Bai Weitua called Himeiwa immediately. Meiwa, are you free tonight? Let's have dinner together. Our show was very successful. It's a celebration. Tonight, Himeiwa was helpless because Zhang Duopan just called her and invited her to dinner. Zhang Duopan also said that he could invite Qingyi, but Himeiwa didn't agree. Since she didn't like Zhang Duopan, she didn't want to be too close to him. Not long after Zhang Duopan called, Bai Weitua called again. Himewa didn't know what to do. Although she didn't hate Bai Weitua, if she agreed to Bai Weitua and rejected Zhang Duopan would definitely be very angry. It wouldn't be good if he did something bad. Yet Lin Bro invited Su Shirhan and Cheng Yi too. They are all your favorite stars, Zhang Duopan said. Ah, Su Shirhan is going too? Himewa was a little surprised. Su Shirhan was her favorite star. If it was only Cheng Yi, Himewa would be a little hesitant. But since Su Shirhan was going, Himewa naturally couldn't let go of this rare opportunity. One had to know that among Su Shirhan's fans, there weren't many who got Su Shirhan's autograph, and there weren't many who got to take photos with her, let alone having dinner together. Therefore, Himewa nodded and agreed almost without thinking. Okay, then let's go together tonight. Okay, let's meet in the parking lot tonight, Bai Weitua said happily. Bai Weitua just hung up the phone and was about to thank Lin Yi when he heard the students beside him screaming. He suddenly raised his head in confusion. Lin Yi wasn't watching the show, but when he heard the scream, he looked at the stage and saw Mengyao and Yushu. What surprised Lin Yi was that there were a total of 4 people on the stage. They were wearing black leather clothes, sexy but not revealing, and they were performing a popular modern jazz dance. Mengyao and Yushu entered the school as soon as they entered. The top girl of S school's beauty leader. The other 2 girls in her dorm weren't particularly pretty, but their bodies were incredibly hot. Mengyao and Yushu, on the other hand, were a combination of one tall and one short. The 4 of them looked extremely well proportioned together, and the moment they stepped onto the stage, the crowd cheered. Big brother Lin, aren't those the 2 school beauties that your relative asked you to look after? Bai Weitua recognized the girls as well. They're so pretty, but I'll be lucky if I can get Himewa. This is something I can't even imagine. Lin Yi shook his head and didn't say anything, but Xingyan and Han Jingjing both raised their heads and stared at the stage. Xingyan didn't mind, but Han Jingjing put down her tablet and looked at the stage. Lin Yi was more or less surprised. The dance was over, and it attracted a lot of praise from the students. Han Jingjing lowered her head again and went back to studying her tablet, no longer looking at the stage. Han Jingjing, what are you doing? Lin Yi couldn't hold it in anymore. Studying pill refining. Han Jingjing said. Pill refining? You're writing and drawing on your tablet, calculating all these random things. You're making pills? Lin Yi's eyes were wide open. Yes, these are some physical formulas for temperature and heat energy in alchemy, as well as chemical formulas for the reactions between various medicinal materials, and some mathematical formulas for time. Han Jingjing said seriously. Of course there are some other formulas. Ugh. Lin Yi was stunned by Han Jingjing's words. You could use formulas to derive pills? This was the first time Lin Yi heard of this. This Han Jingjing really was a genius. But Lin Yi didn't say anything to her. She could study it if she wanted to, as long as she didn't ask him why. What's wrong, Lin Yi bro? Is there something wrong? Why do you have a weird expression on your face? Han Jingjing asked. Ahem. Lin Yi was just thinking that Han Jingjing didn't ask him why, but she started asking now. It made Lin Yi speechless. There's nothing wrong with it, but your method of studying pills is really unique. Yeah, Lin Yi bro. I think I'll be able to come up with a method that combines modern science and ancient medicine. I'll become a very, very powerful refiner. Han Jingjing nodded. Alright, continue your research. Lin Yi didn't know what to say. He thought that if this girl wasn't a genius, then she was crazy. But from her usual behavior, it was more likely that she was crazy. Lin Yi sent a text to Mengyao and Yushu, asking them if they wanted to have dinner together. Naturally, the 2 of them said yes without hesitation. Su Shirhan was participating in the banquet, so they couldn't miss it. Lin Yi, on the other hand, felt a little nervous when he saw the reply. Mengyao and Yushu didn't seem to be very friendly with Wang Xinyan. The miss was fine, but Shu might say something embarrassing. That would be a little embarrassing. After all, this was the first time Mengyao and Yushu had dinner with their roommates in Xinyan. Lin Yi had only asked out of politeness, not thinking that they could join. After all, their dorm had a performance, so it was more likely that they would go to dinner together. Lin Yi shook his head. He could only take it one step at a time. Finally, The freshman party came to an end amidst the cheers. The winners of the freshman party would be announced tomorrow. As on top of it, Lin Yi, Bai Weitua, Zhao Xingji, Song Xiaodao, and Xin Yan walked to the car park together. Shirhan and Chen Yi, on the other hand, had already left the hall and were waiting for Lin Yi in the car. Otherwise, if the students came out together and saw Su Shirhan and Cheng Yi, they would definitely surround them. Even now, there were still some students looking around for Su Shirhan and Cheng Yi. At this time, He Meiwei and Chai Xiaoling also arrived at the parking lot, but Lan Sheru was not there. Meiwei, where's Sheru? Bai Weitua walked over and asked. Sheru and her boyfriend have things to do, so they didn't attend today's freshman party, He Meiwei said. What's so important that you can't even attend the freshman's gala? Bai Weitua was a little surprised. Chapter 2003. Haha, who knows? He Meiwei shook her head and didn't say much. In the dorm, Lan Sharu was the odd one out. She didn't fit in with the others, and she didn't talk much. Meiwei, what do you think? Have you thought about it? Why don't you accept my invitation and have a celebratory feast with Cheng Yi? At this time, an irritating voice rang out. It was Zhang Duopan. Seeing Zhang Duopan and Fan Ganha walk over, He Meiwei smiled bitterly. If she went with Bai Weitua, Zhang Duopan would definitely be unhappy and say something hurtful. After all, Zhang Duopan was her high school classmate. She didn't want their relationship to be too bad. If she didn't go with Bai Weitua, it would be the same as standing her up. So He Meiwei was in a dilemma. Cheng Yi. Bai Weitua was surprised to hear Zhang Duopan's words. That's right, it's Cheng Yi. Zhang Duopan saw Bai Weitua's surprised look and said proudly. Yi's program tonight was very successful. I'm going to invite her to celebrate with us. Oh, so you didn't invite her? Bai Weitua realized. He was surprised because Cheng Yi said that she would attend Lin Yi's party with Su Shirhan. Why did she go to Zhang Duopan's party? Zhang Duopan thought that he could invite Cheng Yi, but in fact he hadn't invited her yet. So what? I'll invite her now. Zhang Duopan took out his phone and was about to call Cheng Yi. Yef equals. Nedi made a phone call. Sorry you're late. Big brother Lin has already invited Su Shirhan and Cheng Yi to the celebration party with us. Meiwei will be there too, right Meiwei? Bai Weitua looked at Zhang Duopan provocatively and asked He Meiwei. Yes. I'm sorry Zhang Duopan. You know I like Su Shirhan. He Meiwei smiled bitterly. In the end, she still pushed herself into this whirlpool. What? Zhang Duopan's face sank when he heard Bai Weitua's words. He didn't expect Bai Weitua to get ahead of him and let Lin Yi invite Cheng Yi as well. This put him in a difficult position. He couldn't advance nor retreat. He didn't know what to say. Sorry, student Zhang, we have to go. Bai Weitua waved to Zhang Duopan and said, Wait. After a short period of awkwardness, Zhang Duopan didn't want to give up, so he laughed at Bai Weitua and said, It turns out that Cheng Yi said that you guys are going to the dinner tonight. That's great, let's go together. What do you mean? Bai Weitua was stunned. Cheng Yi also invited you? Yeah. I told Cheng Yi a few days ago that I would treat everyone to dinner after the performance. However, Cheng Yi said that there would be someone else at dinner tonight, so I didn't think much about it. So it's you guys. Zhang Duopan laughed and said, Since we're all classmates, we're naturally familiar with each other. Let's go together. Bai Weitua didn't know what to do after hearing Zhang Duopan's words. He looked at Lin Yi, hoping that Lin Yi could call Cheng Yi down and ask her what was going on. However, Lin Yi was very calm. Bai Weitua was just angered by Zhang Duopan. But Lin Yi didn't believe Zhang Duopan's words at all. Zhang Duopan said that he didn't invite Cheng Yi at all. How could he know that there would be someone else at dinner tonight? If it was really planned a few days ago, could it be that Cheng Yi could predict the future and predict that Lin Yi would treat Su Shirhan to a meal today, and that she would join in on the fun? Therefore, Zhang Duopan's words were 99% false. Lin Yi didn't need to find Cheng Yi to verify it at all. But if he called Cheng Yi out, it would be difficult. At that time, Cheng Yi wouldn't be able to refuse or agree. Moreover, she would think that he suspected that she invited Zhang Duopan, which would be even more embarrassing. Of course, the most important thing was that Himeiwa wasn't Bai Weitua's girlfriend yet. Lenny had no reason to chase her away. Everything depended on Himeiwa and Bai Weitua. However, just when Bai Weitua didn't know what to do, a heavenly voice rang in his ears, making Bai Weitua cry. "Oh, so you're the rich guy that Sister Shirhan mentioned. She told me that we don't need to spend money today. There's a rich guy paying the bill and treating us to the most luxurious hotel in Donghai City, Arctic Ocean Seafood Restaurant." The owner of the voice was naturally Yushu. Lenny couldn't help but smile bitterly when he heard this voice. It seemed that evil people needed to be dealt with by evil people. Ha! Zhang Duopan's eyes widened after listening to Yushu's words. He was speechless. He didn't know whether to admit it or not. If he admitted it, it meant that he was the rich guy. If he didn't admit it, then he obviously couldn't attend the dinner tonight, because he had already said before that he and Cheng-Yi had agreed to treat everyone to dinner after the performance. Of course, he could say that he would treat them tomorrow, or the day after tomorrow, but he had nothing to do today. After weighing the pros and cons, so be it. Zhang Duopan laughed and said, "Miss Su, you really know how to joke. But to be able to treat two celebrities to a meal, even if he is a rich guy, not everyone can do it." "Yes, it has to be a special rich guy like classmate Zhang." Yushu nodded and said, "I heard that the seafood in the Arctic Ocean Seafood Restaurant is flown in from abroad. The price is very expensive. A meal will cost tens of thousands of yuan, right? And the wine, ordinary rich guys can't afford it." Zhang Duopan was shocked when he heard that a meal cost tens of thousands of yuan, and that didn't include the wine. He didn't spend much to invite Cheng-Yi, but a meal cost tens of thousands of yuan. Although his family was rich, his pocket money was limited. Otherwise, he wouldn't be driving an Aurora. He would have bought a sports car. Since classmate Zhang is the host that Su Shirhan said will treat us, then let's go. Bai Weitua calmed down and understood the crux of the matter. Since Zhang Duopan shamelessly wanted to follow them, then they wouldn't mind mocking him. It's just tens of thousands of yuan, it's nothing. Now that things had come to this, Zhang Duopan had no choice but to go. He glared at the talkative Big Bab Shu and thought to himself, "This girl has big boobs, but she's not brainless. With just one sentence, she made me a rich guy and even lost tens of thousands." "Yao, Shu, you guys are here." Lenny nodded to them and said, "Get in the car. I really don't know where this Arctic Ocean Seafood Restaurant is. You guys lead the way." Chapter 2004. Mengyao, Yushu, Xinyan, Himeiwa, and Xiaoling got on Lin Yi's jeep, while Bai Weitua, Zhao Xingji, and Song Xiaodao got on Zhang Duopan's Aurora. This made Zhang Duopan quite annoyed. There was no fun in a car full of old men. Lin Yi called Feng Sanhuang and told him to go to the Northern Ice Seafood Restaurant. Feng Sanhuang's car had a GPS, and it was easy to find the place. Lin Yi and the others just needed to follow behind the SUV. "Shu, you're really bad. This Northern Ice Seafood Restaurant's really expensive. I heard that the average person spends tens of thousands." Mengyao said. "Didn't they say a meal costs tens of thousands?" Lin Yi said, shocked. "Yeah, a meal costs tens of thousands. That Zhang Duopan is stupid, he didn't even ask." Yushu nodded. Himeiwa, Xiaoling, and Xingyan looked at Yushu, cold sweat forming on their backs. This girl was a little too cruel. The three cars stopped in front of the Northern Ice Ocean Seafood Restaurant, and Su Shirhan and Cheng-Yi were dressed like they were last night. No one could tell who they were from the outside. Zhang Duopan got off the car and looked at the Northern Ice Seafood Restaurant signboard. He was shocked. This building was as luxurious as a palace. How could he afford it? Other than sports cars, there were Rolls-Royces, Bentleys, and other luxurious cars, all of which cost less than $1 million. This made Zhang Duopan nervous. But he was already here, and he couldn't go back on his word. He gritted his teeth and walked into the hotel with Fan Ganha. The group was warmly welcomed as they entered the door. A row of waiters greeted them warmly, and a male and a female receptionist brought them to the restaurant to order. This kind of service was worth a lot of money, and it made Zhang Duopan regret coming here. He was afraid that he would really become a rich man today. In the dining hall, there were huge aquarium tanks all around. They were filled with all kinds of live seafood, giving everyone the feeling that they had entered a marine museum. Of course, the price tags on the aquarium tanks were not cheap either. Basically, the starting price was in the tens of thousands of dollars. Zhang Duopan almost fell to the ground when he saw this. How could a meal cost tens of thousands of yuan? If a few people ate it, it would cost at least a few $100,000. This place is not bad. How much is the average consumption here? Zhang Duopan's heart was bleeding, but he still pretended to be casual and asked the waiter. About 70,000 to 80,000 for seafood, sir. The waiter who ordered the dishes said. Zhang Duopan was taken aback. 70 to 80,000 for one person? This Yushu sure knew how to scam people. He was about to say something when Yushu spoke up. 70,000 to 80,000 for one person isn't that expensive, right, Yaorao sis? Yushu said. Zhang Duopan was speechless. So she said 70,000 to 80,000 for one person. Zhang Duopan's heart was already starting to throb. He was thinking about how he was going to get money from his dad, if he didn't have enough. The more he thought about it, the more Zhang Duopan hated Yushu. Yushu had a cute face and a big chest. But in Zhang Duopan's eyes, she was a little devil. He wouldn't let this girl go if he had the chance. The consumption here is so high. Then let's order less seafood and more stir-fried dishes? Su Shirhan was a kind person. She didn't want to scam Zhang Duopan. Looking at Zhang Duopan's face, it was obvious that he couldn't take it anymore. Cheng Yi and Zhang Duopan's father's company were partners. So Su Shirhan didn't want Cheng Yi to be in a difficult position. Yes, stir-fried dishes are healthy. Zhang Duopan heard Su Shirhan's words and wanted to hug and kiss her. She was his savior, but he didn't dare to do so. Yes, seafood. Eating too much on such a cold day will give you a stomachache. Even the sports students in our sports department don't dare to eat so much. Fan Ganha quickly echoed. Yushu saw that Su Shirhan said so she didn't continue to scam Zhang Duopan. He was much poorer than Zhong Pingliang and Zhang Wen. As long as he didn't go against Shield Bro, Yushu would let him go for now. With Su Shirhan taking the lead, everyone naturally focused on the stir-fried dishes. Although these things weren't cheap, they were much cheaper than seafood. For seafood, they only ordered crab and prawns. It didn't cost much. After the meal, it only cost 100,000. Zhang Duopan let out a sigh of relief. The pocket money in his card, after deducting the payment for Cheng Yi, was still enough to treat everyone. But in the future, he couldn't spend so much money. He could only live his life nervously. After ordering, everyone went to the private room. It's my treat today. Everyone eat and drink well. Zhang Duopan's money couldn't go to waste. He acted like the host. Yeah, we can order when it's not enough. Otherwise, Zhang Duopan won't be happy if we don't eat well, Yushu added. Actually, I think the abalones here are all alive. We should order some abalones. I've never eaten such a big abalone before. Bai Weitua said as he gestured with his hands. Abalone is actually not that tasty, and it doesn't look good. Since there are girls here, let's not order it. Zhang Duopan was so scared that his legs almost cramped. He had seen the price of abalone before. That was a one-headed abalone that cost tens of thousands of yuan per catty. It was simply the best of the abalone. Even his father had not eaten it before, let alone him. So what if there are girls here? Bai Weitua rolled his eyes and knew what Zhang Duopan was implying. He pretended not to understand and asked, why can't girls order abalones? Why doesn't abalones look good? Zhang Duopan thought that Bai Weitua really didn't understand, and was afraid that he wouldn't stop. So he whispered to him. Ahem. Lower your voice. It's just that girls don't usually call it abalone. Usually, as long as someone said this, the listener would smile knowingly, and not say anything more. But Bai Weitua still widened his eyes and shouted, girls? Where is that? What here and there? Zhang Duopan, what are you talking about? If you can't afford abalones, just say it. What's the point of coming up with so many mysterious phrases? Chapter 2005. As Bai Weitua shouted, everyone turned to look at them. At first, Zhang Duopan's words didn't attract much attention, but now that they thought about it, Su Shirhan, Cheng Yi, and even the miss all blushed. Fuck, It's a black fungus, do you understand? Zhang Duopan was pissed off by Bai Weitua. Seeing everyone looking at them, he decided to go all out and shouted. Black fungus? Abalone is black fungus? Bai Weitua looked at Zhang Duopan in confusion. Zhang Duopan, are you sick? Your abalone is black fungus? Bai Weitua, are you fucking doing this on purpose? Zhang Duopan didn't believe that Bai Weitua didn't understand black fungus. Unless this guy didn't go on the school's forum. But this guy had clearly posted before. How could he not go on it? So Bai Weitua was obviously pretending to be dumb. That's why Zhang Duopan was angry. Ah, on purpose. Bai Weitua froze and then realized. You said abalone and black fungus, so that's what you meant. Why are you such a low-class person? Saying this in a restaurant. Why don't you say it in a nightclub? Zhang Duopan was pissed, but seeing Bai Weitua's innocent look, he couldn't do anything. Looking at the girl's looks of disdain, Zhang Duopan cursed his bad luck. It didn't matter how others looked at him. But he wouldn't think that he was a low-class person, right? Fuck, don't be too happy. If you can, why don't you treat us? Zhang Duopan sneered. I'll pay the bill. Bai Weitua wanted to say that he would pay the bill. But when he suddenly thought of the price of this meal, he suddenly became listless. If he spent more than 100,000 yuan on a meal, wouldn't his grandfather peel off his skin when he returned? If you don't want to treat us, then you can leave now. This meal is on me. Lin Yi looked at Zhang Duopan. You. Zhang Duopan heard Lin Yi's words, and suddenly realized that he came here shamelessly. If he didn't treat them, then Lin Yi wouldn't bring him along anymore. If he left like this, although he could save hundreds of thousands, what would he think? Thinking up to here, Zhang Duopan squeezed out a smile. Ha! I was just joking with Bai Weitua. Joke? No one is joking with you. Today is the last time you can treat Meiwe to a meal. When the results of the school's art festival come out tomorrow, you will lose this opportunity forever. You should cherish it. Bai Weitua looked gratefully at Lin Yi and said to Zhang Duopan. Why is that? So what if the result is out? Zhang Duopan shrugged indifferently. What? Zhang Duopan, are you trying to act shamelessly? Last time at the KTV, we already made a bet. In this year's freshman party, whoever gets the highest ranking in the program will have the right to pursue Meiwe. And the loser will have to give up on Meiwe. Could it be that student Zhang has a bad memory? Do you want me to help you recall? Bai Weitua sneered at Zhang Duopan. Oh, you're talking about that. Although you guys might get first, it's not because of your abilities. It's because of the superstar Su Shirhan. What does that have to do with you guys? Zhang Duopan smiled faintly. So it doesn't count. Not counted? You guys broke the rules first and invited Chengyi, okay? Bai Weitua froze and said angrily. We did break the rules, so it doesn't count even if we win. But I didn't ask you to learn from her. You guys broke the rules yourself, so who can you blame? Zhang Duopan shrugged and made a what can you do about it expression. Didn't you say that each person would have a program? As long as it's someone involved in the planning, it's fine. You didn't say we can't invite celebrities. Bai Weitua was furious. He didn't expect Zhang Duopan to be so shameless. Freshman party. Don't you know what it is? That's a party for freshmen. You have freshmen on the stage. That's a freshman party. If you invite celebrities, that's a concert. Zhang Duopan said. You're inviting external help, not just freshmen. Of course, it doesn't count. Bai Weitua was enraged by Zhang Duopan's words, but he couldn't refute it. This guy insisted on the word freshman, and Bai Weitua couldn't do anything about it. Who asked him to invite outsiders? Lin Yi frowned. He didn't expect Zhang Duopan to be so shameless. But looking at his face, he knew that even if Bai Weitua won fair and square, he wouldn't admit defeat and find some other excuse. Haha, Zhang Duopan is right. We're just joking. We're classmates with Meiwe. We can't break off our friendship just because of a bet. Fan Ganha added. Lin Yi smiled coldly in his heart. As expected, even if they lost completely, they still had an excuse. But this was Bai Weitua's business. Lin Yi didn't want to get involved. After all, there was no reason. If it involved Wang Xinyan, Lin Yi naturally couldn't let him go. Soon, the wine and food were placed on the table in turn, and Zhang Duopan proudly raised his glass. First of all, thank you, Yi and Shirhan, for coming to my dinner party. Mei Wei and I are both your fans. It's a great honor to be able to eat together. Bai Weitua rolled his eyes in disdain. Su Shirhan was invited by Lin Yi, but from his mouth, it sounded like he was the one who invited her. Wow, this prawn is so delicious. Shield bro, try it. Yushu picked up a big prawn and put it on Lin Yi's plate. She didn't put Zhang Duopan in her eyes at all. She let Zhang Duopan stand there. He couldn't continue talking or sit down. Yeah, brother Lin, the dishes here are really good. If it weren't for Big Kai's treat, I wouldn't be able to eat it. Bai Weitua also nodded and said, Brother Lin, let sister-in-law try it too. What? Lin Yi glared at Bai Weitua and thought to himself, does this kid not know the situation? Meng Yao and Yushu didn't seem to be interested in Xinyan at all. And yet this guy was calling her sis-in-law. Bai Weitua, don't call me that. There's nothing going on between me and Lin Yi. Xinyan waved her hand, embarrassed that Bai Weitua was talking about her in front of so many people. People are calling me and Sister Yao Yao. Who is calling you? You think too highly of yourself. Yushu said as she looked at Xinyan. I was thinking too much. Xinyan pointed at herself, not sure if she should laugh or cry. She wasn't the type of person who liked to argue, so she just shook her head and said nothing. Bai Weitua saw that he was in trouble, so he quickly shut up and didn't dare to make another sound. However, Zhang Duopan seemed to have discovered a new continent. Chapter 2006. Zhang Duopan purposely raised his voice. Haha, Ganhe, do you see that? Xinyan and Lin Yi have nothing to do with each other. You can go after her without worry. Lin Yi has girlfriends and 2 of them. Go after your sister. Yushu wasn't happy. She didn't like Xinyan being so close to Lin Yi. But Xinyan might be someone Lin Yi liked. Otherwise he wouldn't be helping her all the time. Since Xiao Xiao wanted Lin Yi to find another girlfriend, Xinyan might be able to take the position. And now Zhang Duopan was trying to butt in. She wasn't happy at all. This was an internal conflict. What did it have to do with him? Go after his sister? Fan Ganhe blinked. His sister's only 10. She's not suitable for me. Ganhe, go after your sister, that's a curse. Zhang Duopan explained, a little embarrassed. Girl, you're cursing me? Fan Ganhe slammed the table and stood up, pointing at Yushu. Our Zhang bro is treating us today. Why do you have to be so annoying? Leave if you don't want to eat. He'd been pissed off at Yushu for a long time. This girl had been messing with him from the very beginning, and even now, her mouth wasn't idle. She'd even made fun of his goddess, Wang Xinyan. He couldn't take it anymore. Ahem. Ganhe, you sit down first. We're polite people. Zhang Duopan jumped when he saw Himeyu's disdainful look. He quickly pulled Ganhe back before turning to Yushu. Sorry, Fan Ganhe's a sports student. He's a little hot-tempered. Haha, don't mind him. Fan Ganhe didn't know what was going on. Usually, Zhang Duopan would be happy when he stood up for Zhang Duopan. What was going on today? But since Fan Ganhe wanted him to sit down, he had no choice but to sit down. So what if he's a sports student? If he meets a real master, he'll beat the crap out of him. Bai Weitua said flatly. Okay, everyone stop fighting. Let's eat. The dishes will be cold in a while. Himeyue said helplessly. Today the 2 big stars are here. Don't be so childish, okay? That's true. Haha, Fan Ganhe, don't fight with Bai Weitua. If you're not convinced, then find an opportunity to have a fight. Don't the school have those clubs? When the time comes, we can just borrow a venue. Zhang Duopan was smart. He acted as if it had nothing to do with him. It was all Fan Ganhe and Bai Weitua's quarrel. His last sentence was extremely hateful. It was simply targeted at Bai Weitua. If they were to compete, Bai Weitua, who was not a sports student, would definitely be at a disadvantage. Su Shirhan and Cheng Yi, on the other hand, felt that this childish fight was quite amusing. When they were done, Su Shirhan raised her cup and said, All right, I'll say a few words. Thank you everyone for your hospitality. But Yi and I have to catch a plane tomorrow morning. So let's hurry up and eat. We can go back and rest earlier. With Su Shirhan's words, Fan Ganhe was silent for a while. Everyone enjoyed the meal. Lin Yi, a toast to you. Cheng Yi suddenly raised her cup and looked at Lin Yi with anticipation. This was the first glass of wine she poured in the entire meal. Although it was red wine, it was clear that she treated Lin Yi differently. Before, she and Su Shirhan had drinks with them. Toast to me. Lin Yi was slightly taken aback. Yeah, for yesterday I really have to thank you, Cheng Yi said solemnly. I'll drink this glass of wine. You can do whatever you want. Speaking of which, I also want to toast to Lin Yi. Let's drink together. With that, Su Shirhan poured herself a glass of wine and held it up. Meng Yao and Yushu, on the other hand, understood what had happened last night. The others, on the other hand, were completely confused. Lin Yi, on the other hand, didn't want to explain at all. He raised his cup and said faintly, nothing. And so the atmosphere became a little strange. Zhang Duopan was envious and confused at the same time. Cheng Yi and Su Shirhan toasted Lin Yi together. What did Lin Yi do? Su Shirhan and Cheng Yi drank the wine in their hands while Lin Yi took a sip of tea. The situation was just that strange. But Su Shirhan and Cheng Yi didn't want to explain, so the others could only keep it in their hearts. Haha, right, this weekend, I'm planning to invite everyone to the Tiger Park to play. It can be considered as relieving the fatigue of this period, Zhang Duopan said. But it's a pity that Yi and Shirhan are leaving tomorrow. Otherwise, we can go see the tiger together. We're too busy with work. There's no choice. Cheng Yi smiled. Let's go together then. By way to Lin Yi, you guys come too. Zhang Duopan smiled. Meiwa, Bai Weitua and I are competing fairly. You won't not give us a chance, right? We're all good friends. We're going to have fun together. There's no competition. Meiwa said helplessly. Although the meal was full of fighting, with Su Shirhan and Cheng Yi there, it wasn't too obvious. Until the end of the meal, a waiter knocked on the door and came in. Hello everyone. Because you're the 888th guest of this month, we're providing a photo service. The photo can be made into a crystal cup, the waiter said respectfully. Photo? Zhang Duopan was dazed. Does it cost money? Many restaurants use this kind of promotion as an excuse, but in fact, they still wanted the customer to pay. So Zhang Duopan asked subconsciously. It's free, the waiter said. Normally it's charged, but the 888th guest is free. Oh, it's free. Then I'll take one. Zhang Duopan nodded. Okay, I'll go find a photographer. The waiter didn't see Su Shirhan and Cheng Yi because they had their backs to the door. Su Shirhan and Cheng Yi helplessly put on their sunglasses again. After all, it might be troublesome to ask the photographer to come out. Soon the photographer came. He wasn't surprised that Su Shirhan and Cheng Yi were wearing sunglasses. After all, a lot of customers liked to look cool when they took photos. There were some who wore glasses and hats. After taking the photo, the photographer left. After a while, the waiter brought over a beautiful crystal cup with everyone's photo. Just one. Zhang Duopan thought it was one for each person. But there was only one. How are they going to split it among so many people? Sir, you can make more, but the first one is free. The rest will have to be charged, the waiter said. Chapter 2007. We can charge a fee too, one for everyone. Zhang Duopan waved his hand. How was he supposed to split the cup? Okay, sir. Please wait a moment, the waiter said and retreated to make the cups. Let me see. Yushu snatched the cup from Zhang Duopan's hand. Wow, Shield bro, you're so handsome in the photo. You're the most handsome out of all of us, Yushu said. Shu, mind your image, Meng Yao said helplessly. Shu had insisted on sandwiching Lin Yi between the two of them during the photo shoot, not giving Xingyan a chance at all. Xingyan had no choice but to stand beside Yushu, and Yushu was very pleased with herself. It didn't take long for the waiter to bring the crystal cups over. One for each person, no more no less. Zhang Duopan turned to the waiter. Waiter, can I have the bill? How much is it? Sir, you've spent 200 and 900 in total, so it's 200,000. The waiter said. Oh, I'll pay with my card. Zhang Duopan casually handed over a card before realizing something was wrong. Wait, why is it 200,000? Wasn't it 140,000? Zhang Duopan had estimated the price. The dishes were only around 130,000, And even with the drinks, it was around 140,000. How could it be 200,000? That's right, sir. This is your list of expenses, please take a look. The waiter didn't look down on Zhang Duopan at all. He politely took out a list of expenses and handed it to Zhang Duopan. This is, 5,000 for a crystal picture frame? Zhang Duopan's eyes went wide. There were more than 10 people in his group, and just the crystal frames alone cost 60,000. No wonder it was 200,000. Yes, sir. This crystal photo frame is made of real crystal, not glass. The waiter explained. Every single one of them is worth collecting, and there's an expert certificate here. Is that so? Zhang Duopan looked at the pile of crystal cups and wanted to cry but had no tears. They were all printed with photos. He had to buy them even if he didn't want to. He could only say with a sad face, "Okay, I'll pay by card." However, the fees he gave Chengyi were not enough. There were only a few 100,000 left in the card. Zhang Duopan was thinking about what excuse he could use to ask his dad for more money. After dinner, Linny drove Xinyan, Meiyue, and Chai Xiaoling back to school. He was about to head back to the villa with Sanhuang when he saw two people standing there in the dark parking lot. Upon closer inspection, who else could it be but Han Jingjing and Han Xiaoqiao? Han Jingjing? Linny stopped the car and looked at Han Jingjing in surprise. Why are you two standing in the parking lot? Big brother Linny, we were waiting for you to send us home. Han Jingjing said pitifully. I thought you forgot about us, but you finally remembered and came back. Ugh, you're saying that you've been waiting for me to send you home? Lin Yi's eyes were wide open. Yeah. Han Jingjing nodded. Isn't your X5M parked over there? Don't you know how to drive? Lin Yi looked at the X5M not far from the parking lot. I didn't bring my keys. I've been riding in your car for the past 2 days, and I thought the keys were a little heavy, so I didn't bring them. Han Jingjing said. You didn't bring your keys? Lin Yi was stunned by Han Jingjing's words. Then why didn't you call me? I did, but my phone was turned off. Han Jingjing said, feeling wronged. Lin Yi remembered that he'd turned off his phone when he was on stage, afraid that someone would be looking for him. He'd forgotten to turn it back on. Okay, get in the car. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. If you can't find me next time, take a taxi back, and it's not far on foot anyway. I was afraid that you would come to pick me up again, and we would be worried if you couldn't find us, Han Jingjing said. Then I won't call you? Lin Yi smiled bitterly. Okay, get in the car. Lin Yi, how could you forget about Han Jingjing for dinner? Look at how pitiful she is, she hasn't eaten yet, right? Mengyao didn't have any bad feelings towards Han Jingjing. After a few days of interaction, she felt that this girl didn't have any ulterior motives, and was easy to get along with. It's okay, Yao sis, I'll go home and eat instant noodles, Han Jingjing said. Shield bro, why don't you make some food for them when you go home? They're so pitiful, they're always hungry. Yushu also sympathized with Han Jingjing. She actually stood in the autumn wind for an entire night. It was really pitiful. It's okay, Shu, we always eat instant noodles, we're used to it, Han Jingjing quickly said. It's already so late, it's fine. It's okay, there's ready-made food at home, I'll cook for you, it's nothing. Lin Yi was very embarrassed. Because of his mistake, Han Jingjing and Yushu stood in the parking lot for an entire night without food. It made him feel bad. Thank you, Lin Yi bro, Han Jingjing said happily. The car returned to the villa. Lin Yi got off the car, and Su Shirhan also got off the car. Originally, Feng Sanhuang planned to send Chengyi back to the hotel, but Chengyi didn't want to go back. Shiji, why don't you help me talk to Lin Yi? Can I stay here tonight? Cheng Muyi said pitifully. Last night, after that incident, I went back to the hotel, and the moment I closed my eyes, I saw those robbers. I couldn't sleep well. I only fell asleep in the wee hours. It was too scary. I don't dare to stay by myself. It's okay, Yi sis, if you're scared you can stay here. Mengyao agreed generously, because Cheng Yi was a celebrity that she liked, and she was also Su Shirhan's junior. How could she not agree? But after Mengyao finished speaking, she realized that the owner of the villa was not her anymore. It was Lin Yi. So Mengyao looked at Lin Yi, a little embarrassed. Lin Yi, is it okay? Linny understood what the miss was thinking, but he smiled. You have a part of this villa. It's as good as Songshan. You can make the decision. Meng Yao heard Lin Yi's words. She was a little touched. Thank you. Ha. It's nothing, you guys chat first. I'll cook something for Han Jingjing and Han Xiaoqiao, Lin Yi said. Han Jingjing and Han Xiaoqiao didn't seem to be fans. Han Xiaoqiao was very shy. He didn't like to talk. And Han Jingjing seemed to be engrossed in studying something. She wouldn't let go of her tablet. She wouldn't stop writing and drawing. Chapter 2008. Fortunately, the two of them got off the car and went back to the villa. They didn't talk to Su Shirhan and Cheng Yi. Lin Yi was surprised. Were these siblings even people of this world? They didn't like to chase after celebrities at all. Lin Yi found some food in the kitchen, making 2 dishes before sending it over to Han Jingjing. Lin Yi Gij, thank you. Han Jingjing saw that Lin Yi was here, and finally put down the tablet, and ran out to help Lin Yi. Do you want to come in and sit for a bit? No, you guys should rest early after eating, I'm going back. Lin Yi looked at Han Jingjing's mansion. There didn't seem to be anything new inside. It was all the furniture and appliances that came with the mansion. Han Xiaoqiao was sitting on the sofa reading a book, while Han Jingjing was probably playing with the tablet. These two were really weird. They were both nerds, but the elder sister's personality was even weirder than the younger brother's. Lin Yi took a look at Han Xiaoqiao's book. It was a textbook from a university's economics department. It was normal to read textbooks at home, but Han Jingjing was using a tablet to calculate some pill refining formula. Lin Yi couldn't believe it. Oh, okay then. Han Jingjing nodded, a little disappointed. Oh right, Lin Yi Gij, how's your alchemy going? These 2 days? I don't have time to study it yet. Lin Yi said honestly. Lin Yi was busy with the freshman party, and then he got attacked after picking up Su Shirhan. And then he broke through. Lin Yi didn't even have time to practice the 4th stance of Frenzy Fist, not to mention alchemy. Please remember. Oh, I see. I wanted to discuss it with you, Han Jingjing said. Then when Lin Yi Gij is done, we can discuss it together, okay? Okay. Lin Yi nodded. Han Jingjing was very happy to receive Lin Yi's reply. She happily said goodbye, and went to eat with Han Xiaoqiao. Lin Yi, on the other hand, returned to his villa. In the living room, Ming Yao Yushu, Su Shirhan, and Cheng Yi were chatting excitedly. It seemed like they were talking about yesterday's events. Cheng Yi was beaming with joy, and her eyes were full of admiration. As soon as Lin Yi entered the door, he heard her words. Yao Yao Shu, I really envy you. You have such a powerful bodyguard as Lin Yi living with you. If Shirhan and I stopped singing, we would want to move in with you. Sure. Then move here when you guys retire from the music industry. Meng Yao smiled. We're afraid that someone might be hostile towards us if we move here. With that, Shirhan smiled as she looked at Yushu. They were still making fun of Wang Xinyan just now. No, I'm just helping shield bro. Yushu was a little embarrassed and quickly changed the topic. Shirhan sis, you and sis seem to be very close? Yeah, the two of us are from the same sect, and we hit it off very well. We usually like similar things, so we're closer. Shirhan nodded. Thanks to senior sister's care. Otherwise I wouldn't be able to develop so well. Cheng Yi also nodded. Why don't you guys go to bed early? Tomorrow, you have to go to school or catch a plane. Can you get up? Lin Yi looked at the 4 people who were chatting happily. Sleep soon. Meng Yao looked at her watch and realized that it was already very late. When the freshman party ended, it was already 9 o'clock at night. After dinner, it was already 11 o'clock, and now it was 12 o'clock. If they didn't sleep now, they really wouldn't be able to get up tomorrow. So, the 4 of them packed up and went upstairs. Lin Yi, on the other hand, returned to his room and continued to consolidate the 2nd stage of the art of dragon mastery. There were too many things to do these few days. Lin Yi wanted to find a chance to practice the 4th form of the Frenzy Fist. Now that Lin Yi was already at the peak of the early phase of Earth class, other than the 4th form of the Frenzy Fist, would he be able to use the 5th and 6th forms? Lin Yi was very looking forward to it. It was just that he didn't have the time to think about it. Sitting cross-legged on the bed, Lin Yi activated the second stage of the art of dragon mastery. His strength at the peak of the early phase of Earth class was basically stabilized. This time, there weren't too many accidents for Lin Yi to break through. After all, Lin Yi was about to break through. He just lacked the opportunity to break through the limit, and this opportunity happened to appear during the battle. But what made Lin Yi happy was that this opportunity came at the end of the battle, the deciding moment of victory or defeat. If it had appeared before, then Lin Yi would be in danger. With the Earth-class black-clothed man glaring at him, how could he break through in peace? Perhaps this group of people would all be finished. Thinking about it, Lin Yi felt a lingering fear. However, through this battle, Lin Yi actually discovered that he had an advantage. What he lacked in strength, he could use martial arts to make up for it. For example, he was only an early phase of Earth class, but with the unique martial arts, he didn't show any weakness when facing the black-clothed man of the mid-phase. His first form of the Frenzy Fist was actually equivalent to the second form of the black-clothed man's Ice Snow Thorn. In other words, as long as Lin Yi's stamina was full every time, he could still fight above his level. This discovery made Lin Yi both surprised and happy. He originally thought that the advantage he had when he was in the Mystic class no longer existed, but he didn't expect that through Faubert's martial arts, he had regained his initial advantage. The fourth form of the Frenzy Fist was already enough to completely crush a mid-phase Earth class. In other words, if the opponent was only one level lower, Lin Yi could easily crush them. As long as he used the fourth form of the Frenzy Fist from the start, the opponent wouldn't be able to handle it. However, what would it be like facing a peak mid-phase Earth class now? He hoped that he could use the fifth and sixth forms of the Frenzy Fist. That way, Lin Yi would be able to fight against a peak mid-phase Earth class. Actually, what Lin Yi didn't know was that he could now fight above his level, because of the Frenzy Fist. Although the Frenzy Fist was considered a top-notch martial art, it also depended on the user. Lin Yi had the support martial art that he took out from the cave, which allowed him to display every form of the Frenzy Fist to the fullest. Just like the person who created this martial art, he could understand the essence of each form. But it was different for others. Although the martial art was powerful, everyone's understanding would more or less deviate. No one could be like Lin Yi, using the Frenzy Fist as if it was his own creation. The black-clothed man's Ice Snow Thorn wasn't weak either. It was just that he was too weak. His mental cultivation wasn't that great to begin with, so the martial arts effect couldn't be fully displayed. Plus, his understanding wasn't that thorough, so every form was weaker than Lin Yi's. Chapter 2009. Chapter 2022. Replacement. But there was no way to argue about this sort of thing. Lin Yi's advantage was like Zhang Naipeo's. It all came from his practitioner's speciality. His talent wasn't that great either. It was just a coincidence. Upstairs, Ming Yao and Yushu were showering together. Yao Yao, do you think that Wang Xinyan can become Shield Bro's main wife? Yushu asked. How would I know? Ming Yao shook her head. Wouldn't she bully us if she became the main wife? Yao Yao, we have to think of something. Yushu said worriedly. Then what do you think we should do? Ming Yao frowned. The problem now is that Lin Yi doesn't have Tang Yun in his heart anymore. And the reason he got together with Xiao Xiao was because he felt sorry for her. And after some time, Xiao Xiao allowed him to find other women. Lin Yi doesn't feel any guilt at all, so what can we do about it? Even if we stop him from being with Wang Xinyan, he'll still be with someone else. Plus, can we really stop him? We didn't stop Tang Yun back then, right? That. Yushu thought about it. That's true, but there's a lot of candidates. I think Han Jingjing and Shirhan Sis are good as well. Even Yi Sis is fine. She's a star after all. And she's older than us. She could be a big sister. Han Jingjing? She doesn't have much of a mind. She's a little dumb. But Wang Xinyan's a good person too. She doesn't fight for things, she's a quiet girl. Ming Yao said. As for the two star sisters, I think we should just forget about them. Why would they share their love with someone else? We were just joking before. There's no way they'll really move in. That's true. Yushu nodded. Then we're being too paranoid. We're worrying too much. We're still in Lin Yi's hands. We're just here to help. As long as we don't let Yin Yun down. Mengyao felt a little conflicted as she said those words. Sometimes, Mengyao wondered if she wanted to replace Tang Yun's position. Plus, Tang Yun's words had hinted at the same thing before they parted. But Mengyao still felt that it'd be a little too much if she were to replace Tang Yun. It was like taking advantage of others when they were in a precarious situation. Therefore, a thin-skinned person like eldest miss would never do such a thing. It was a quiet night. Lenny had nothing to say. Miss Xu Su Shirhan and Changyi all had dark circles under their eyes. It was obvious that they didn't sleep well after talking all night. However, Changyi's relationship with Missy and Xu was much better. What time is your flight? If there's nothing else, I won't send you off. Lenny said. I still have to go to school today. And you don't need to send us off. Brother Feng will pick us up later. Changyi said. Seeing how powerful you are, those robbers probably won't dare to come again. Yeah, there hasn't been any movement for the past 2 days. Obviously they've given up. Shirhan nodded. By the way, what happened yesterday? Lenny asked while eating breakfast. Yesterday, after you saw the woman in the black trench coat, your headache acted up? Yeah, I came back last night and kept talking about other topics. If Lenny didn't remind me, I really would have forgotten to ask. Missy nodded. Shirhan sis, what happened yesterday? It's nothing. Actually my headache. Lenny was right. It should be caused by some trauma in my childhood. Shirhan smiled bitterly. But these things I don't want to mention, and I haven't told anyone. So what happened yesterday should be a coincidence. Lenny nodded. He had checked Shirhan's headache before, and he knew that Shirhan wasn't sick. It was a psychological problem that caused symptoms similar to neurosis. But even Lenny didn't know the specific reason, so how could outsiders know? Yeah, I was also very puzzled about what happened yesterday. Even I, as Sister Han's best friend, only knew that Sister Han had some trauma in her childhood that would cause headaches. But I didn't know it was because of a woman in black. Changyi nodded. It seems that what happened yesterday was really a coincidence. Although Lenny felt that what happened yesterday shouldn't be a coincidence. After all, the appearance of the woman in black was too sudden, and it happened to appear during Shirhan's performance. Not only that, but the most important thing was that this person was an actress. Until the end of the freshman party, he didn't see her wearing this kind of costume again. So this made Lenny feel very strange. It seemed that this person just wanted to appear at that time. However, Shirhan also said that it was a trauma in her childhood. It was a secret. She didn't even tell Changyi about it. Changyi only knew the general situation, and Lenny as a doctor also didn't know. How did that Zhang Duopan know about it? However, this matter could only be a mystery, and Lenny didn't want to delve into it. After breakfast, Feng Sanhuang drove the MPV over, bringing Su Shirhan and Changyi to the airport. The matter here had also come to an end. Han Jingjing and Han Xiaoqiao were waiting at the door early in the morning. It was probably because of what happened last night, and they were afraid that Lenny would forget about them again. You guys don't need to wait like this. When it's time to leave, I will call you guys. Lenny looked at the pitiful siblings and felt a little embarrassed. Who would have thought that they were actually rich people who lived in a villa and drove a BMW? People who didn't know even thought that these two couldn't afford to take the public bus. So they waited here. In fact, Lenny was also very strange. However, with Han Jingjing's IQ, Lenny didn't want to ask anymore. If he didn't get the answer after asking again and again, when the time comes, it would attract Han Jingjing's question, and that would be looking for trouble. Fastest text update. No ads // in the school. After Lenny said goodbye to Miss and the others, he walked towards the direction of the biology department with Han Jingjing. Han Jingjing, on the other hand, was still playing with her tablet as if she was addicted to it. It was fine walking on the main road, but when she walked on the small road, she accidentally stepped on the edge of the manhole cover. As a result, her body moved forward, and she was about to fall down. Ah! Han Jingjing subconsciously let out a scream. Lenny was a little speechless, but he couldn't let Han Jingjing fall down like that. Let's not talk about whether the tablet would break or not. Even Han Jingjing herself would fall hard enough. Target =_. Chapter 2010. Chapter 2023. Notes 2? Therefore, Lin Yi hurriedly held onto Han Jingjing, and Han Jingjing fell into Lin Yi's arms. From an outsider's perspective, it looked like the two of them were hugging. TSK, you haven't even settled one. And now you're dealing with another. Aren't you tired, Huang? A sour voice sounded behind Lin Yi. Lin Yi turned around and found that it was Yu Coiling Tiger. What does it have to do with you? Second young master Yu. Don't tell me your skin is itchy and you want to get beaten up again? Lin Yi looked at Yu Coiling Tiger coldly. Yu Coiling Tiger actually took a fancy to Han Jingjing and wanted to chase after her to have some fun. He didn't expect that Lin Yi would beat him to it, so he was naturally unhappy. Therefore, when they met here, he said such a sentence in a lukewarm tone. Lin Yi, in Boss Bai's class, you don't have to threaten me. Who's afraid of who? If you want to be expelled, then beat me up. Yu Coiling Tiger looked at Lin Yi with disdain, as if a dead pig wasn't afraid of boiling water. What happened in Boss Bai's class? Lin Yi frowned slightly. Maybe there was something he didn't know. You don't know. Yu Coiling Tiger was also stunned, but he quickly explained. Studying here, no matter which family or sect you come from, you have to coil up if you're a dragon, and you have to lie down if you're a tiger. If you make a fuss here, then you'll be expelled. After saying that, Yu Coiling Tiger looked at Lin Yi proudly, meaning that you don't dare to do anything to me this time, right? Although I can't beat you, I can make you sick. Oh, so that's why you're called Yu Coiling Tiger. Han Jingjing nodded and said, what does this have to do with my name? Yu Coiling Tiger's face darkened and said, I'm just reminding you not to violate the rules. Don't think that you have any privileges, because you're an alchemist. Who isn't an alchemist? You have to listen to Boss Bai here. Ah, big brother Lin Yi, why did he say that you are an alchemist? Are you an alchemist? Han Jingjing looked at Lin Yi in surprise and asked. Of course he's an alchemist, and he's very powerful. If you want to learn alchemy, you can ask him and let him teach you. Right, Pan, who didn't mind causing some trouble for Lin Yi. Big brother Lin Yi, then why did you say that you don't know alchemy? Han Jingjing looked at Lin Yi strangely. Since Right Coiling Tiger is so enthusiastic, then you can teach her alchemy. With that, Lin Yi pointed at Right Coiling Tiger and said, he is an alchemist, you can ask him. Ah, Right Coiling Tiger, can you teach me alchemy? Han Jingjing turned her head and looked at Right Coiling Tiger. Right Coiling Tiger originally wanted to explore Lin Yi's background, to see if he was an alchemist, and how powerful he was. That was why he asked Han Jingjing to ask Lin Yi. But he didn't expect that he would shoot himself in the foot. Haha. Our Yu family's alchemy can only be passed on to the people of the Yu family. It can't be passed on casually, Right Coiling Tiger said with a laugh. On the other hand, Lin Yi, you seem to be a rogue cultivator. You don't have so many rules, right? Quickly teach her your alchemy skills. If you want to pick up others, you have to pay a little price. Before Right Coiling Tiger saw Lin Yi by a broken medicine cauldron, he began to doubt whether Lin Yi knew alchemy or not. Which alchemist would buy that kind of trash? At this moment, he also wanted to see if Lin Yi knew alchemy. I don't know alchemy, said Lin Yi faintly. Right Coiling Tiger didn't expect Lin Yi to answer so straightforwardly. This made him even more puzzled. Did Lin Yi know alchemy or not? Yeah, Lin Yi bro doesn't know how to concoct elixirs in the first place. And we've been studying it. You Panhu, teach us if you know how to concoct elixirs. We're all classmates, don't hide anything. Han Jingjing said. Ahem. I have something to do. I'll leave first. Right Coiling Tiger didn't dare to speak casually. Although a lot of alchemists' information was public, the Yu family's control of alchemy fire came from the Heavenly Elixir sect. It was improved. Right Coiling Tiger was afraid that he would make mistakes if he said too much, so he left first. Brother Lin Yi, why is he like this? He has good things, but he doesn't share them with others. He's really bad. Han Jingjing looked at the back of Right Coiling Tiger and said unhappily, do you really want to learn alchemy? Lin Yi looked at Han Jingjing and felt more and more incredulous. Previously, Lin Yi thought that she was curious and would lose interest after a few days. But now it seemed that this wasn't the case. Now Han Jingjing couldn't use alchemy. She's simply possessed. Her analysis and research on alchemy have become formulaic. Don't use the word interested to describe her. Ah, Brother Linny, why do you ask? Han Jingjing said. I have been studying alchemy. How can this be fake? Linny nodded. He could see that Han Jingjing seemed to have a special fondness for alchemy. Have you been in contact with alchemy before? Why do you want to learn alchemy? Actually, I got an alchemist's notes, so I started to study alchemy. Han Jingjing said with some embarrassment. I'm sorry, Brother Linny. I didn't know you very well before, so I didn't dare to tell you. I was afraid that you would take away my notes. But now, I found out that you are a good person, so I won't hide it from you. Alchemist's notes? Linny was shocked. You actually have such a thing. Where did you get it? The antique market, Han Jingjing said. But I have already scanned it into a picture and put it on the tablet. I will show it to you. Okay. Linny didn't expect Han Jingjing to actually buy the alchemist's notes. This kind of thing could actually be bought, which made Lin Yi feel a little incredible. Han Jingjing quickly found the scanned version of the alchemist's notes on the tablet, then handed it to Lin Yi and said, Brother Lin Yi, it's here. Take a look. You can study it with me. Lin Yi took the tablet and looked at it carefully in his hand. Although this Han Jingjing looked silly, she didn't seem to be very stupid. At least before, she wasn't familiar with him, so she didn't tell him about the alchemist's notes. Now, as the relationship between the two became better, Han Jingjing took out the notes. However, what made Lin Yi feel strange was that there were only some records of the temperature control skills of the alchemy fire during alchemy and the pharmacological reactions between various medicinal materials. In other words, there was no mention of how to condense the alchemy fire from beginning to end. There were only these technical things. What are those things you wrote on the tablet? Lin Yi asked. Lin Yi had always been curious. Yesterday, Han Jingjing said that it was scientific alchemy, but he didn't quite understand what she meant. He didn't know what those formulas represented. Chapter 2011. Chapter 2024. Being followed again. There's the temperature and fire control for all sorts of pills, as well as the changes of the ingredients in the cauldron at all times. But the senses, spirit, sixth sense, and whatnot are all too fantastical. I don't think I can control them at all. And so I've put all these methods and techniques into precise mathematical, physical, and chemical formulae. That way, when I can condense a refinement flame, I'll be able to make pills according to the formula. And I won't have to use my hands to feel the temperature or the changes of the ingredients. Han Jingjing said, That's a really crazy idea. Lin Yi had heard from Han Jingjing before that she wanted to make a combination of modern and ancient methods. But after her detailed explanation, Lin Yi realized just how crazy her idea was. Even the ancient sects wouldn't have thought of using scientific methods like this, let alone Lin Yi. He didn't think that Han Jingjing would be so creative as to start researching this. Whether she could succeed or not, just this idea alone was more amazing than anyone else. Are you complimenting me, Lin Yi bro? Han Jingjing was pleasantly surprised, but then a little depressed. I'm actually very stupid. I've been researching this for so long, and I still haven't figured out how to condense a refinement flame. It's not even on the internet, and I can't even buy a book on it. Condensing a refinement flame. I'll help you think of something. Lin Yi said hesitantly. He didn't directly say that he had the incantation for condensing the refinement fire. That would be too fake. It would be as if he was exchanging the incantation for the refinement fire, just because Han Jingjing showed him the notes. It would seem a little snobbish. And so Lin Yi decided to tell Han Jingjing about it later. That way it wouldn't be too sudden. Alright, thank you, Lin Yi bro. Han Jingjing didn't seem to suspect anything at all, as she walked into the classroom with Lin Yi. Lin Yi sat next to Xinyan after entering the classroom, and Han Jingjing sat in the seat behind him obediently. She didn't fight to sit next to Lin Yi either. Brother Lin, you're here? The results of the freshmen's evening party are out. Our class won first place in the singing program. Bai Weitua said excitedly when he saw Lin Yi. The results are out so soon? Lin Yi was a little surprised. Actually, it came out last night, but it was only announced this morning. Baiwetua said, "First place. This is the first time in the history of our medical profession has won an award. Moreover, it's amazing." "Ha! But if Zhang Duopan wants to go back on his word, there's nothing we can do about it," Linny said. "Yeah, that brat is too wicked. He was the one who invited the celebrity first. Yet he still said those words. He's really bad," Baiwetua said helplessly. "But it's also good. Let Himewa see his face clearly, and avoid contact with him in the future. Ahem, quiet down. Class is about to begin." Boss Bai knocked on the door frame of the teacher's room, and strode into the classroom. The noisy classroom suddenly became quiet. Baiwetua was so scared that he hurried back to his seat. Boss Bai was very satisfied with everyone's performance. He nodded and walked to the podium. "Everyone did well in yesterday's freshman's evening party. I would like to commend you. It's been many years since our medical profession won an award in the freshman's evening party. Even the art festival and the sports meet didn't have anything to do with our class. But a miracle happened because of you. I hope this is a good start. Everyone, keep up the good work and strive to get a good ranking in other activities, so that I, Boss Bai, can be proud." "Sigh, how is that possible?" "This time, it's because of the superstar. Yeah, without the superstar's help, our class can't do it." "Quiet down. I don't think everyone is very enthusiastic. But there's one thing I forgot to tell you. You won first place in the singing program of the freshman's evening party. I'm going to reward each of you with 2 credits. In the future, if you get a good ranking in other activities, you will also be rewarded according to your ranking. If you don't want to continue asking for the reward, then forget I said anything." Boss Bai narrowed his eyes and said lightly, "Ah, of course, why not? We'll definitely win next time." "That's right, under the leadership of the class monitor, we must win. 2 credits. We can graduate in advance if we have enough credits." Even the expressionless right coiling tiger was overjoyed when he heard that there was a reward of 2 credits. If he could graduate in advance from Boss Bai's hands, it would also be an honor. In the future, he would become an elder in the family. It would also leave a heavy mark on his qualifications. He was a little glad that he participated in the freshman's evening party this time. If he didn't go on stage, Boss Bai would probably leave him behind when he rewarded the credits. "Okay, that's all. Now let's continue the class. In this class, we will continue to talk about the pharmacology of some common herbs." As Boss Bai spoke, he opened the textbook and began to teach. Han Jingjing, who had been writing and drawing, also put down the tablet in her hands at this moment, and listened attentively to Boss Bai's lecture. The morning passed in the blink of an eye. When the class was over, Boss Bai gestured to Lin Yi and said, "Lin Yi, come with me." "Okay." Lin Yi nodded. He wasn't surprised. Boss Bai had said before that after the freshman's evening party, he would go to him and teach him some unexpected knowledge. Right coiling tiger looked at Lin Yi with some envy and jealousy. Although he didn't know why Boss Bai was looking for Lin Yi, this kind of obvious personal friendship made right coiling tiger want to swap places with Lin Yi. He had been looking for opportunities to please Boss Bai, but there was no suitable one. Thinking of this, right coiling tiger got up and followed Lin Yi and Boss Bai out of the classroom. Sometimes, opportunities were created by oneself, so right coiling tiger planned to try his luck. Lin Yi followed Boss Bai out of the classroom and walked in the direction of the faculty building of the biology department. However, as soon as he left the teaching building, Lin Yi felt that someone was following him. This was an intuition, and it had nothing to do with the jade pendant. Because the person following him had no malicious intentions, the jade pendant didn't give any warning. Right coiling tiger? Lin Yi frowned and found that the person following him in the crowd was actually right coiling tiger. "Boss Bai, someone is following us." "It's right coiling tiger," said Lin Yi. "Oh, right coiling tiger?" Boss Bai looked back and said, "Don't worry about him." "Oh." Since Boss Bai said that he didn't need to worry about him, Lin Yi naturally didn't do anything and followed Boss Bai into the faculty building of the biology department. Chapter 2012. Chapter 2025. He was deaf. Right coiling tiger followed him sneakily. Lenny found it funny that Tiger Wright thought that nobody had noticed him. When he entered Boss Bai's office, he intentionally left the door half closed. After lingering at the door for a while, Tiger Wright came over. Wright Coiling Tiger was overjoyed. The door wasn't closed, and he wanted to pretend to enter by chance to join in the fun. However, Lenny pushed the door shut with a bang. The metal door directly hit Wright Coiling Tiger's nose. Wright Coiling Tiger's nose started to bleed. Wright Coiling Tiger let out a shrill scream. "Lily, what was that sound?" White Boss also heard Tiger use scream, but he didn't see him outside the door. "I don't know. Maybe I caught a mouse when I closed the door," Lenny said. "There are rats here? It seems that I have to buy some rat poison tomorrow. Don't take my medicinal materials." Boss Bai nodded and said, "Boss Bai, you're looking for me?" Lenny asked hesitantly. Have a seat first." Boss Bai, however, invited Lenny to sit down unhurriedly. Then, he poured out some tea leaves from a small iron pot. "These are the tea leaves that I grew myself. Have a taste." "Well, Boss Bai, you didn't invite me here just for tea, did you?" Lenny smiled bitterly. "To tell you the truth, I don't know much about the tea ceremony, and I don't drink this stuff. My old man grows it too, but we usually use it to cook tea eggs." Pooh. Boss Bai made a cup of tea for himself and Lenny respectively. Picking up his own cup, he savored the fragrance of the tea. However, he was so shocked by Lin Yi's words that he spat out all the tea in his mouth. "Lily, this tea is worth tens of thousands of yuan a tael in the market, and I added some other elements when I planted it, so it's worth more than tens of thousands. You're actually using it to cook tea eggs? So don't waste it on me." Lenny shrugged and said, "Boss Bai, let's get down to business, shall we?" "All right." Boss Bai put down the teacup and said, Although everyone in your class is my student, students are different. Among these students, I was going to find a talented student to teach him some special medical knowledge, but you and I are destined to meet each other, and you saved my life, so." At this point, Boss Bai paused. He squinted at Lin Yi, waiting for his answer. "Boss Bai, if you have something to say, just say it. I can't guess it if you are so secretive." Lin Yi smiled bitterly. "You look like you're not willing to learn. You have to know that the right coiling tiger and whatnot is something that people would rack their brains to learn. But there's no chance." Boss Bai said. At the door, the right coiling tiger was listening to the intermittent conversation between Lin Yi and Boss Bai. When he heard that Boss Bai was going to teach Lin Yi some special medical knowledge, he was very envious and secretly cursed Lin Yi for being so lucky. Why was he valued by Boss Bai? Moreover, from Lin Yi's tone, it seemed that he was not interested and didn't want to learn. The right coiling tiger almost pushed the door open and went in, yelling, "If you don't want to learn, then give the opportunity to me. You won't agree even if you keep nagging. So what if I beg you to learn?" However, from what Boss Bai said, it seemed that he wanted to beg Lin Yi to learn, or else why would he use him as an example? Moreover, it seemed that Boss Bai said that Lin Yi was his life savior. When did Lin Yi save his life? This series of questions made the right coiling tiger's ears stick even tighter. However, after that, there was no sound in the room, which made the right coiling tiger a little confused. Could it be that the two were secretly whispering to each other? Therefore, the right coiling tiger's ears stuck even tighter. As a result, just when he wanted to listen more carefully, there was a sudden loud noise in his ear. Boom! It almost pierced the right coiling tiger's eardrum, and he let out a scream. Ah! Lin Yi knew that Boss Bai was going to tell him something confidential, so he deliberately smiled bitterly to stall for some time. Then, he quickly kicked the iron door of the office, and tragedy struck the right coiling tiger. The right coiling tiger was shaken to the ground and covered his ears. His eyes were full of little stars twinkling. He was so dizzy that he didn't know which way to go. "Lil, why did you kick my door?" Boss Bai smacked his lips. "Although the door is iron, it's easy to break if you kick it like that." "You know." Lin Yi walked back after kicking the door. "There's a big mouse outside the door, and it always wants to eavesdrop." "Huh. It's okay. It doesn't matter if he hears it." Boss Bai waved his hand. Because the things he wanted to teach Lin Yi, the right coiling tiger also knew, there was no need to hide anything. Even if the right coiling tiger heard it, it didn't matter. Of course, as for those key things, Boss Bai organized them into books, and the right coiling tiger couldn't see them even if he wanted to. It doesn't matter? Lenny was slightly stunned, and he was a little puzzled. Why didn't he hide it from the right coiling tiger? Could it be that the right coiling tiger and Boss Bai had a very good relationship? Okay, I won't beat around the bush with you anymore. Have you ever heard of alchemy? Boss Bai's eyes suddenly narrowed. Ah, alchemy? Lin Yi's eyes widened, and he looked at Boss Bai in disbelief. Why did he only hear alchemy these days? Han Jingjing alchemy, the right coiling tiger alchemy, and Boss Bai alchemy too. Was alchemy popular now? How is it? You don't understand the true meaning of alchemy, do you? Boss Bai said. The so-called alchemy here is not the ordinary mixing of several medicinal materials and then condensing them into pills. I know. You're talking about the alchemists who use alchemy fire to temper medicinal materials and condense them into pills, said Lin Yi. You know, Boss Bai was a little surprised after hearing Lin Yi's words. You've also heard of alchemists. Isn't the right coiling tiger an alchemist? So you said that you wouldn't hide it from him. So it's about alchemists, said Lin Yi in realization. Yes, the right coiling tiger is a first-level yellow-level alchemist, but he's already close to the second level. He's a good seedling, but I don't really like this person's character. Boss Bai nodded and said, this kid has some skills. Lin Yi frowned and was a little shocked. He didn't expect Boss Bai to praise the right coiling tiger so much. But to be honest, if the right coiling tiger was really a first-level yellow-level alchemist that was close to the second level, then even if he wasn't the head of the Yu family, it was enough for him to have a very important position in the Yu family. No wonder there were so many masters around him. But I didn't expect that you actually know about alchemists. Then, did you apply for medicine this time because you heard about it? Boss Bai looked at Lin Yi with some doubt. Chapter 2013. Chapter 2026. True Identity, True Identity. Then he shook his head and said, I'm afraid not. You don't even know me. And you don't even want to learn when I want to teach you alchemy. I don't think you came because of my reputation. Teach me alchemy? I want to learn. Lin Yi quickly nodded. Ahem. Can you change your face faster? Boss Bai was a bit speechless. You didn't look interested before, did you? I didn't know you were going to teach me alchemy. If you told me earlier, I wouldn't have to wait until the end of the freshman party. I would have come to learn already. Lin Yi was very excited at this moment. When Boss Bai said he would teach him alchemy, Lin Yi was so excited that he almost jumped up. For a long time, alchemy had been one of Lin Yi's biggest worries. Although it seemed that Lin Yi didn't study alchemy, in fact, it was not that Lin Yi didn't want to study alchemy, but that he couldn't. Alchemy fire could be condensed, but once the intensity and temperature of the alchemy fire were changed, the alchemy fire would be extinguished. Therefore, it was not that Lin Yi didn't want to study alchemy, but he had no way at all. He could only wait for an opportunity to learn alchemy. There was no hope from Yu Coiling Tiger, so Lin Yi had to find a new way. However, he didn't expect that sometimes, things that he couldn't find even after searching for so long could be found without any effort. This Boss Bai was actually an alchemist? Lin Yi really wanted to cry. He was so lucky that the person he saved was an alchemist, and he almost missed such a good opportunity. If he didn't accidentally apply for Donghai Industry University and accidentally become Boss Bai's student, it would be very difficult to meet Boss Bai again. I thought you were not interested in anything. You were so arrogant before. And now you are begging me, right? Boss Bai heard Lin Yi's words and felt very happy. Haha, I said you would become mine sooner or later. How about now? Yes, I was originally your student. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. Now that he was under someone else's roof, he had to lower his head. Haha, are you begging me? If you beg me, I'll teach you. Boss Bai crossed his legs and picked up the teacup in front of him. Smelling the fragrance of the tea, he sipped the tea leisurely and looked at Lin Yi with a vague smile. Well, Boss Bai, please. Lin Yi felt disgusted. This Boss Bai had a lot of bad interests. However, for Xiao Xiao, Lin Yi would even kowtow to him, not to mention begging. Moreover, since ancient times, a teacher was like a father. It was not inappropriate for Lin Yi to bow to his teacher. Why are you so quiet? I didn't hear you. You don't want to learn? Fine, you can go back. Come back when you have made up your mind. Boss Bai said. Lin Yi did not know what to say, but he still said aloud, I want to learn, Boss Bai, please recruit me. Haha, see, I knew it. Boss Bai laughed. In that case, I'll reluctantly teach you some knowledge outside of the classroom. Thank you, Boss Bai, Lin Yi said quickly. No need to thank me, but the foundation of an alchemist must be a swordsman. Do you know what a swordsman is? Boss Bai waved his hand, his face returned to normal, and asked seriously. I know. Lin Yi nodded, but he suddenly had some doubts. When Lin Yi treated Boss Bai before, he felt that Boss Bai was not a swordsman, and his meridians were broken and blocked, which was impossible. Could it be that Boss Bai was a swordsman? But Lin Yi had never heard that a swordsman could make alchemy, then Boss Bai. Thinking of this, Lin Yi looked at Boss Bai strangely. Boss Bai, are you a swordsman? No. Boss Bai shook his head. Then do you know alchemy? Lin Yi was a little confused by Boss Bai's straightforward answer. No. Boss Bai still shook his head. Then aren't you teaching me alchemy? Lin Yi looked at Boss Bai and asked with some surprise and doubt. It's alchemy, Boss Bai said. I haven't finished yet. I am not a swordsman now, nor am I an alchemist, but I used to be one. How did this song come about? I haven't been an alchemist for many years. Lin Yi was a little speechless. This old man looked quite funny. However, he used to be an alchemist, but not now, so there was no problem in teaching. Just like Faubert, although he could no longer use the frenzied fire fist, he could still guide Lin Yi to activate and practice it. What, you don't believe me? Boss Bai saw Lin Yi's disappointed eyes and stared at him. Did you see that? That coiling tiger, right? And the others are also from an alchemy family. How difficult is it for them to learn something from me? Of course not. It's just strange. You were an alchemist back then. And you look like you were really strong. How did you get your meridians broken? Or maybe it's blocked. You look so pitiful. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. Who said that I was beaten by someone? I was possessed when I was refining alchemy, and the medicine cauldron exploded. Boss Bai glared and said, if I wasn't injured by the explosion with my alchemy ability, I wouldn't be an ordinary lecturer here. Back then, those ancient sects and ancient families begged Grandpa to ask me to refine alchemy, but I didn't pay attention to them. SSSS. Lin Yi took in a cold breath after hearing Boss Bai's words. This guy used to be a top-level elixir refiner? Moreover, he seemed to be a very awesome one. No wonder coiling tiger, right? And the others didn't dare to be rash in front of him. And he even said some strange things to him in the morning. It turned out that Boss Bai was really an awesome person. How is it? Scared, right? Since you know about them, then you must know about the hidden houses, and ancient sects. Boss Bai looked at Lin Yi proudly. Got it. Lin Yi took a deep breath. Boss Bai, I didn't know that you were such a legendary person. Legendary? That's all in the past. Haha, I'm a useless person now. I can teach disciples, but I can't refine elixirs anymore. Boss Bai shook his head in self-mockery. I, Zhang Liju, can't end with my generation. So, I found 2 disciples and one of them is you. What? Zhang Liju? Ahem. Lin Yi almost choked to death. The miracle Dr. Zhang Liju? You've heard of his name? You come from a medical family, so it's not surprising that you know this person. Chapter 2014. Boss Bai nodded. That's right. I'm Zhang Liju's disciple. But back then, my Shifu only left behind an incomplete elixir refiner's notes. And he didn't even pass on the refiner's fire to me before he died. I only became a master elixir refiner with my talent. And it actually doesn't have much to do with being Zhang Liju's disciple. It's just that my name is a bit scary. Ugh. Lin Yi didn't understand. Your Shifu died right after he passed you a refiner's notes? Yeah, he went crazy during elixir refinery, and died from the explosion of the cauldron. But I was luckier than him, and my medical skills were better than his, so I survived. When he met me, his medical skills weren't good enough, so he died, Boss Bai said. Lenny was a bit speechless. Chapter 2027. Dream, but he could vaguely tell that Zhang Liju's sect didn't have many inheritances left. These elixirs were passed down from generation to generation, and Boss Bai's situation wasn't uncommon. The previous generation died, and the next generation didn't even have time to take over. As a result, Zhang Liju left behind fewer and fewer essences, and most of them had to rely on their own research. But Boss Bai's title as Zhang Liju's disciple really shocked Lenny. He had been Zhang Liju's disciple for many generations. And if he was Zhang Liju's disciple, wouldn't that make him Boss Bai's master? Of course, Lenny was just thinking about it. After all, he only got some of Zhang Liju's belongings, and he wasn't really Zhang Liju's disciple. So he didn't have any mental burden to become Boss Bai's disciple, and it was more like returning to his roots. Don't worry, as long as you don't try to cross levels and make those insane elixirs, you won't die. Boss Bai saw Lin Yi's shocked expression and thought that Lin Yi was scared, so he quickly explained, "Our elixir refinery has reached a bottleneck." Chapter 2027. Dream of he always wanted to make a breakthrough and refine a higher grade of elixir. I couldn't control the elixir fire as I wished, so the cauldron exploded. If you were only refining ordinary elixirs, there wouldn't be any danger. At most you would fail, but you wouldn't be injured. Lenny shook his head. Boss Bai obviously misunderstood him. Moreover, why would Lenny be afraid of getting hurt? Even if the medicine cauldron exploded and injured Lenny had the space of the jade pendant. What was there to be afraid of? As long as he was not killed by the explosion, he would be able to recover as long as he was still breathing. Also, according to Boss Bai, they had been passed down from generation to generation, which meant that even if the furnace exploded during alchemy, he would not die immediately. At least, he could survive for a while and make funeral arrangements. Therefore, when Lin Yi had the time to make funeral arrangements, he had already returned to normal. No, I'm not worried about that. I'm just shocked. Lin Yi said, "If I guess correctly, the information you got should be good, and you became an alchemist grandmaster through your own exploration. How awesome is that?" "That's true." Boss Bai nodded and said, "Before my master died, he passed on his knowledge to two people. One is me, and the other may not be talented enough, so he disappeared after getting the secret book. However, my master was also desperate. He was dying, and he couldn't choose a successor." Lenny nodded. If it weren't for Boss Bai's talent, he might really have been lost. "So, I'm preparing for a rainy day and finding a successor before I die. When I die, it will be too late to find a successor," Boss Bai said. "Besides, my master had a lot of knowledge, but he didn't summarize it into a book. The alchemist's notes were organized by his master. Although it was not bad, many of his own theories were not preserved. His master's alchemy skills were actually not as good as his." Well, Lenny smiled bitterly. In fact, many sects were like this now. Many mental techniques and martial arts were kept secret, which resulted in a chain reaction if something happened to the person who guarded those mental techniques and martial arts. But I'm smart enough to have organized a book based on his foundation, and it's unique. As long as you thoroughly learn what I know, then there will be no problem to become a top alchemist," Boss Bai said. "Really?" Lin Yi's eyes widened, and he was very excited. Wasn't this what Lin Yi dreamed of? "Of course it's true. Why would I lie to you about this?" Boss Bai said. "Do you not believe in my teaching level, or do you not believe in your own ability?" Speaking of ability, if you aren't made for it, then there's nothing I can do." Lin Yi's heart skipped a beat at Boss Bai's words. Not made for it. Even with Zhang Liju's notes, he couldn't learn anything from it. Could it be that he really wasn't made for it? Of course, Lin Yi didn't mention anything about Zhang Liju's notes. After all, this was a very important matter, and Lin Yi understood that he was only an Earth-class early-phase peak. All the hidden house you needed to do was move out and kill him. Even if house you didn't eavesdrop, there was no way Lin Yi would say these things right now. Even if he were to show these things to Boss Bai, he'd have to wait until he was strong enough to do so. Otherwise, it'd be just like the recipe for the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing. Too many people coveted it, and it'd even cause Guan Xian to be kidnapped. Even a normal recipe was like that, let alone Zhang Liju's refiner's notes. There were many lost recipes in there, and Lenny couldn't just show them to anyone. As for Boss Bai's injuries and broken meridians, while Lenny might have a way to heal him, Lenny didn't do it. After all, Boss Bai was simply too famous, so famous that even the ancient sects knew of his existence. If his meridians suddenly healed, wouldn't these people be suspicious? Plus, the damage to Boss Bai's meridians was a little strange. If Lin Yi's guess was correct, not only were his meridians broken, but there was also a lot of refinement fire poison caused by the deviation inside. For something like this, Lenny had no confidence in clearing it. The poison of elixir fire was different from the poison of regular true qi. Elixir fire was another form of existence transformed from true qi. Even Lenny himself could not control the elixir fire as he wished. How could he get rid of the elixir fire in Boss Bai's body? If he wasn't careful, the refinement fire poison might backfire on him again. That would be the real fire. Target =_ blank. Chapter 2015. So even if Lenny wanted to heal Boss Bai, he had to completely grasp the art of condensing the refinement fire, and he had to have a certain level of strength himself. Otherwise he would be courting death. After all, the meridians of Chintian, and the others around Lin Yi could be healed with meridian opening pill, or small rejuvenation pill. Even if people suspected it, it could be explained, and the strange phenomenon on Lin Yi's body could be explained with special arts. But if Boss Bai suddenly healed, it would be a big problem. Boss Bai was an alchemist in the first place, and he could definitely get things like meridian opening pill or small rejuvenation pill. If his injuries that he couldn't heal were healed by Lin Yi, it wouldn't be a good thing for Lin Yi right now. Generally, no one would covet mental cultivation techniques. After all, most of the time, those things couldn't be cultivated even if they were snatched away. Many ancient sects and ancient families had top-grade mental cultivation techniques, but the number of people who could cultivate them was very few. Just like the chrysanthemum treasured law and the heaven-defying divine art, such mental cultivation techniques were top-grade existences, but not everyone could cultivate them. This was also why no one coveted Lin Yi's arts. Many people had good things, but they couldn't practice them. Just like House Sun's arts, other than those with the blood of House Sun, no one else could practice it. Lin Yi wasn't afraid that someone would steal his arts, but he was afraid that he wasn't strong enough and would be forced to help others heal. Then, Lin Yi wouldn't have to do anything else. How can you tell if I'm made for alchemists? Lin Yi asked. Let me ask you something. Are you a cultivator? You need to answer truthfully. Boss Bai asked. Yes. Lin Yi nodded without hesitation. It wasn't a secret that he was a cultivator, and many people knew about it. What's your strength? Boss Bai continued to ask. Earth class. Lin Yi only vaguely described his range of strength, but he didn't specify every rank. After all, Tiger Wright was at the door, and Lin Yi didn't want him to know his details. Earth class. When Boss Bai heard that Lin Yi was a cultivator, he didn't have the slightest doubt. But when he heard that Lin Yi was an Earth rank master, he showed a shocked expression for the first time. You are an Earth rank master? Yes. Lin Yi nodded. Is there anything wrong? Are you sure that you are not a disciple of a hidden family or an ancient sect? Boss Bai looked at Lin Yi weirdly. No. Lin Yi said, I'm a loose cultivator. An unaffiliated cultivator can reach the Earth rank? Boss Bai shook his head. You are really special. Since I'm a cultivator, I don't need to cultivate the alchemist's auxiliary mental cultivation method. I can just try to condense the alchemy fire. Boss Bai said, this is a book on the refinement of fire. As for the supplementary training methods, you can skip over them. There's no need to read them. You gave it to me just like that? Lin Yi's hands trembled a little. He didn't expect Boss Bai to be so generous and give him such an important thing directly, which surprised him. Yes, you can give it back to me if you don't want it. Boss Bai said. It's not that I don't want it, it's that, you are not afraid that I will leak it? Lin felt it was a little unreal. You mean these things? Boss Bai pointed at the information in Lin Yi's hands and said. If you want to leak it, that's up to you. But I guess that even if you show it to Coiling Tiger, right, he won't read it. This is the common mental cultivation method and refinement of fire for alchemy masters. There's nothing special about it. It's a rare thing in the secular world. But I'm afraid that all the hidden families with a little bit of connections will have it. Even the ordinary library of the ancient sects and ancient families have it. This thing is from a street stall? Didn't you conclude it yourself? Lenny didn't know what to say about Boss Bai's statement. This isn't my conclusion. I already said that before my master died. He didn't pass on the refinement of fire to me. What he gave me was only some alchemy experience. And it was not complete. Boss Bai said. This can also be said to be from a street stall. Even if it's not, it won't be kept a secret. No way. Lenny looked at the deputy main mental cultivation method and refinement of fire in his hands. He was excited for a long time, but it turned out that this thing was so ordinary. Actually, the Yu family's condensing mental cultivation method is also improved on this basis. It should be much better than this. The auxiliary mental cultivation method and the alchemy fire condensing mental cultivation method that Yu Coiling Tiger cultivates are unique to the Yu family, Boss Bai said. Then why did Coiling Tiger right come to you? Lenny asked curiously. He didn't come here to learn these, but the methods of refining various elixirs that I summarized, some skills of alchemy fire control, and some knowledge of pharmacological properties. Boss Bai said, doesn't that mean that Coiling Tiger right doesn't even want to learn? You want me to learn? Lenny looked at the information in his hands with a bitter smile and said, don't you have any good secret manuals? No. Boss Bai sighed. Actually, these mental cultivation methods, as long as they are cultivated, it's all the same. It's just a matter of personal habit. The ultimate goal is to transform one's true qi into alchemy fire through a section of the mental cultivation method. The purpose is the same, so I'm familiar with this refinement of fire, and I don't bother to learn other mental cultivation methods. Then haven't you thought about your disciple? Lenny asked speechlessly. At that time, I was young and impetuous. How could I consider so much? At that time, if I wanted to, it wouldn't be a problem for me to use high-level elixirs to exchange for some of the alchemist's mental cultivation methods and refinement fire condensing mental cultivation methods from the heavenly elixir sect. But I didn't think it was meaningful and useful at that time. Boss Bai shook his head and sighed. Now, I'm afraid they won't give it to me even if I want it, unless I exchange it with my life's experience. But I'm not willing to. So that's how it is. Lenny nodded, looking at the information in his hands. His heart was cold, and he wanted to cry but no tears came out. If the mental cultivation methods and refinement fire condensing mental cultivation methods were the most basic stuff on the street, then it might not even be as good as the one he got from Zhang Liju's tomb. The one in Zhang Liju's tomb had already made Lenny back off, and this probably wouldn't be any better, right? Thinking of this, Lenny suddenly felt a little discouraged. Alright, go back and try the refinement fire condensing mental cultivation method written here. If you have any problems, come to me anytime. Boss Bai said. I haven't had lunch yet, hurry up and go eat. I'm going to sleep too. Ugh, I still have a question. Lenny said after some hesitation. Target equals _ blank. Chapter 2016. What's the problem? Boss Bai asked. Bai Weikai and Bai Weitua, can't they become alchemists? Why don't you teach them alchemy? Lenny asked. Their aptitude is too poor. They can't even practice auxiliary mental cultivation methods, let alone condense alchemy fire. Boss Bai shook his head. Do you think it's so easy to become an alchemist? The prerequisite is that one must be a cultivator in order to become an alchemist. If one isn't even a cultivator, alchemy is just wishful thinking. I see. Boss Bai's words made Lin Yi's heart sink. Bai Weikai and Bai Weitua couldn't do it, and Lin Yi wasn't a person with extraordinary aptitude. Although he was called a genius by many people, Lin Yi knew himself best. If it weren't for the fact that he could practice the art of dragon mastery, he would just be an ordinary person. Right Coiling Tiger had been lingering in front of Boss Bai's office and didn't leave. However, after being shocked by Lin Yi, he didn't dare to put his ear too close to the door. He was afraid that Lin Yi would perforate his eardrum again. That would be a tragedy. Therefore, Right Coiling Tiger didn't hear the conversation between Lin Yi and Boss Bai clearly. He only heard that Boss Bai said that he wanted to take Lin Yi as a disciple and pass something to him. Then he seemed to mention the Right family, but he didn't understand. Looking at the silent iron door, Right Coiling Tiger was a little regretful. If he knew this would happen, he would have put his ear on the door. At least he wouldn't have heard nothing later. Thinking of this, Right Coiling Tiger put his ear on the door again unwillingly, trying to hear some useful information. As a result, when his ear just stuck to the door, the tragedy happened again. The door made a loud dong sound. Right Coiling Tiger shivered in fear. His hair all stood up, and his ears were buzzing. His head swelled, and he saw stars. He was directly shaken to the ground. Lin Yi didn't think that Coiling Tiger was still eavesdropping. He'd only given the door a try before he left, not expecting to see Coiling Tiger sitting on the ground, dizzy from the shock as soon as he pulled the door open. Fuck Lin Yi, did you fucking do it on purpose? When Right Coiling Tiger saw Lin Yi, he immediately gritted his teeth in anger. On purpose? What do you mean? Lin Yi found it a little funny, but he didn't show it on his face. Why did you kick the door for no reason? Right Panhu said angrily. I kicked the door. It doesn't seem to have anything to do with you, right? Lin Yi asked curiously. Could it be that you were eavesdropping just now? Who was eavesdropping? I just wanted to knock on the door. I have something to discuss with Boss Bai. Panhu, you naturally wouldn't admit that he wanted to eavesdrop. Oh, I just accidentally tripped and kicked the door. I'm sorry, said Lin Yi. You're lying. You clearly kicked the door just now. Right Coiling Tiger was in a hurry and actually spilled the beans. You kicked the door twice in a row. It was obviously intentional. Just now. How did you know just now? Could it be that you have been eavesdropping at the door? Lin Yi looked at Right Coiling Tiger with a faint smile. Right Coiling Tiger then realized that he had spilled the beans. He was a little embarrassed, but fortunately, this guy was thick-skinned. What eavesdropping? I also came to find Boss Bai before, but I saw you inside, so I left first. Now I'm back to see if you left, so I can go find Boss Bai. Oh, then you go in. Boss Bai is going to take a nap. He may not have time to receive you, said Lin Yi. Then, I won't go first. Let's talk about it another day. Right Coiling Tiger estimated that Boss Bai had just passed some good things to Lin Yi today. He definitely wouldn't be in the mood to give him any more benefits. It was better to come again at another time. Moreover, he also wanted to know what the thing in Lin Yi's hand was. Up to you. Lin Yi sneered, but he was too lazy to expose him again. By the way, Lin Yi, what is that thing in your hand? Did Boss Bai give it to you? Right Coiling Tiger pointed at the information in Lin Yi's hand and asked curiously, what are you doing? Lin Yi suddenly withdrew his hand and put the information behind him. He looked at Right Coiling Tiger with a vigilant look. Ha, Student Lin, what are you doing? Aren't you too nervous? I was just asking casually. Do you have to be like this? Right Coiling Tiger saw Lin Yi's actions and was even more certain that Lin Yi was holding some good information that Boss Bai had passed to Lin Yi. So he said, could it be some good treasure? It's just some information that Boss Bai gave me. It's not a good treasure, said Lin Yi lightly. Oh, since it's not a good treasure, how about letting me see it? Right Coiling Tiger asked. No way. Lin Yi directly rejected Right Coiling Tiger's proposal. Boss Bai said that you probably don't want to see this thing. Your Yu family has a deep foundation. You won't be interested in this. Haha, how can that be? Boss Bai's prestige is quite high, and his ability is also. TSK. So, to be able to see the information that Boss Bai gave me is a great honor. Right Coiling Tiger wasn't trying to flatter Lin Yi. He was speaking from the bottom of his heart. If he didn't really want to learn from Boss Bai, why would he apply for the biology department of Donghai Industry University and become an ordinary student? If he had the time to make elixirs or have fun, It would be great. Oh, that's still not possible. Lenny said firmly. If I say no, then no. There's no room for negotiation? Right Coiling Tiger asked, unwilling to give up. Do you think I'm stupid? Why should I show it to you? Do you think we have a good relationship? Not only did you scold Wang Xinyan, but you also wanted to kill me in the bowling alley. Do you think I'll show it to you? Lenny looked at Right Coiling Tiger, as if he was looking at an idiot. You don't have to talk nonsense. Hey, Lenny, since you've already fallen out with me, do you think that there's no one left in the Yu family? Even if you're an Earth-class late-phase peak master. So what if you can kill 3 Earth-class masters in a second? You're not a Sky-class master after all. Right Coiling Tiger heard that Lenny had fallen out with him, and that his soft approach didn't work. Okay, you dare to steal Boss Bai's things? Your Yu family is really something. Lenny curled his lips. If that's the case, then just call a Sky-class master to steal it from Boss Bai. Oh right, Boss Bai isn't a practitioner right now. Just call the yellow hair or purple hair beside you, and they'll be able to take care of him. There's no need for a Sky-class master. Right Coiling Tiger's mouth twitched twice before he realized who gave the thing to Lin Yi. Stealing Boss Bai's things, Right Coiling Tiger wouldn't dare. That you're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support. And don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.